started with nothing in humble beginnings. They wanna fuck with me now cause I'm winning. Chasing this chicken cause I'm on a mission. I'm known for get money and standing on business. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Keep that shit coming, they know how we living. Come from the struggle, got lost in the hustle. Straight out the mud, no, I compliment couples. Chasing big bills just to keep this shit subtle. You ain't on my team if you wasn't in the huddle. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Keep that shit coming, they know that I'm with it. I fit the description, I'm the definition. I'm what they prescribe like she seen a physician. She wanna ride cause she seen how we getting it. Big old booty, she my passenger princess. She like to argue, she don't like to listen. She bougie and toxic, she fine and she picky. Pretty and sedity, she get recognition. Matching nails and toes, man, she always French tip 'em. Parking lot pimping when we in the city. Don't ask her about twine, she twerk on the engine. She eat the dick in the car cause it's tennis. She pay me attention like she get commission. Pimpin' CEO, so I give her the business. She ride on the dick like she doing some fitness. She make the dick disappear like she magician. She like to swallow, man, she love when I finish. Having motion, man, you know I got plenty. Bitches choosing cause they know that I'm winning. Seen some thousands, now I'm after some millions. So all my houses come with chandelier ceilings. Pillow talking, man, that shit just ain't in me. Keep it pimpin', I can't do no pretending. Jealous hearted, man, you know I ain't with it. Cuffin' hoes, I can't do no commit. No, we started with nothing in humble beginnings. They wanna fuck with me now cause I'm winning. Chasing this chicken cause I'm on a mission. I'm known for get money and standing on business. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Keep that shit coming, they know how we living. Come from the struggle, got lost in the hustle. Straight out the mud, no, I compliment couples. Chasing big bills just to keep this shit subtle. You ain't on my team if you wasn't in the huddle. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Chasing this chicken, I ran up a ticket. Keep that shit coming, they know that I'm with it.
What we doing tonight, chat? Y'all like? Double tap the screen, shut a live out, man. I like that song right there, man. Double tap the screen, shut a live out, chat. Y'all like, y'all know what time it is. We in intro mode, baby.
I'm a saint, but I sin. I checked in the game to win. I left, she loving me again. I let her cry out the bins and they say time heal. Mine still felt like it was yesterday. How we're moving fast, probably too fast to even catch the play. Spencer night, she pack a bag, right to me, just getting gas. Coming back, I want it bad. I'ma touch it first, eat it last, it's temporary. Holly damn emotion said it's temporary. My pain deeper than the ocean. Temporary feelings mixed with temporary pleasures. All these temporary moments and these temporary treasures. Temporary circumstances to temporary measures. Temporary friends and even temporary schedules. Temporary smiles and temporary goals. Temporary women sliding on temporary poles. Temporary comments and temporary trolls. I just pray that God bless me. Ain't no temporary souls. I'm a saint, but I sin. I checked in the game to win. I left, she loving me again. I let her cry out the bins and they say time heal. Mine still felt like it was yesterday. How we're moving fast, probably too fast to even catch the play. Spencer night, she pack a bag, right to me, just getting gas. Coming back, I want it bad. I'ma touch it first, eat it last, it's temporary. Holly damn emotion said it's temporary. My pain deeper than the ocean.
What we doing tonight, chat? Amber say we need a new song. I say, Amber, you're full of shit, man. Double tap that screen, shut a live out. What we doing tonight, chat? What we doing tonight? Where's the tag? Where's the tag? Hold on.
Welcome to the greatest damn show on YouTube.
There we go.
Welcome to the greatest damn show on YouTube.
Oh, man. Double tap the screen, shut a live out, man. What we doing tonight, chat? Double tap the screen, shut a live out, man. They saying Trump is done. Tells Netanyahu he's on his own. We got Asian versus FBAs. Spencer Pratt was snubbed. And we got Karmelo Anthony might be innocent. Double tap that screen, shut a live out, chat. We got an action-packed episode, man. Sir Bob, what it do? Amber, what it do? Laurie, what it do? What we doing tonight? Loud Possum, I see you in here. What's up, Jeff and Clueless? Big Niche, hey girl. What's up, Bridget? What we doing, chat? We got an action-packed episode, man. Let's get straight into it. We got Greg Bovino, the one, the Border Patrol, the head of Border Patrol or whatever that was going on over there in Minnesota. They're reporting that he may be running for president in 2028. Also, Mom Dunny did a full sit-down with MS Now. Trump talked to Netanyahu They said he talked them out of a significant strike on Iran. We'll get into that as well. Elon Musk is projected to become the world's first trillionaire on Friday when SpaceX becomes a publicly traded company. He could spend $1 million every single day, and it would take him 2,740 years to go broke, man. Double tap the screen, shuttle live out. It's looking like Kevin O'Leary is facing backlash. He's trying to build a $70 billion AI data center in Canada. I believe that's in Alberta, Canada. He's trying to put this $70 billion AI data center. Reports are coming out that Trump told Netanyahu, if you want this war, you are on your own. And they're saying that because the U.S. did not defend Israel on yesterday. They did not intercept any Iranian missiles, as reported. Chinese President Xi Jinping and North Korea's Kim Jong-un have agreed to strengthen relations. Also, Representative Paulina Luna has proposed legislation to require influencers to disclose payments from foreign governments. How do y'all feel about that? Should influencers have to disclose payments from foreign governments? The Meta Ray-Ban glasses are actually equipped with facial recognition, even though Meta said that they weren't. Not only do the glasses detect the face, it automatically encodes the face into a unique biometric signature. So every time somebody has those Meta glasses on and they look at you, they're recording your face and attaching a number to that face. They're attaching a number to that face, man. That's crazy that Meta's out here doing that. But it's not a publicly available feature yet. So it's looking like all of that's going on the back end. Marco Rubio is now favored to win the 2028 president election. That is per Kalshi. Also, TMZ is reporting that the knife that Karmelo Anthony allegedly used to fatally stab Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet was not illegal under Texas law. That was a legal knife, according to a detective. We got Alex Jones talking about Section 224. We also have Bank of America. I told y'all about this fabricated, manipulated market. I told y'all 73 all-time highs doesn't sound a little suspicious to you guys. Hold the hell on. Can y'all see my pillow in the background? No, y'all can't see that. All right. Anyways, like I said, 73 all-time highs, completely fabricated, completely manipulated. Bank of America is coming out and warning investors to take profits. They're saying there's too many red flags across the markets. 70% of their bear market indicators have triggered. Also, we got Pump Fund, the dystopian future where people put bounties up and have people do random crazy stuff. They got some older black guy taping watermelon to his face and putting a damn shell of a watermelon on his head and just screaming, "I'm your friend, the watermelon man," 10,000 times. And y'all won't even believe how much money he did that for. Y'all won't even believe how much money he did that for. Tom Brady launches Good Nut, an organic coconut water drink. They're coming in an original, sparkling, and a chocolate flavor. It is called Good Nut. It's crazy. New report reveals that George W. Bush and their DOJ helped assist Jeffrey Epstein's 2007 plea negotiations that resulted in his sweetheart deal, and that is according to the Miami Herald. President Trump tells Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu he could be left alone against Iran. Quote, "You better be careful what you do because you could be left alone against Iran very soon." Declassified CIA files allege U.S. plans to control the world by manipulating the weather. Desi Banks dropped a new skit. We're gonna check that out first. It's called Get In. I believe it's a parody of the movie Get Out. Also, Piers Morgan had a full panel talking about Israel and Iran. Everything else is from the morning show. Everything else that I got is from the morning show. Double tap that screen, shuttle live out chat. We're about to get into a full-blown episode, man. We got to hit 100 likes right quick, man. Everybody, please double tap the screen on your way in. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I don't care if you're far left, far right, liberal, conservative, Marxist, fascist, alien, NPC. get your ass in. We finna have them conversations tonight, man. We are also we're 7 subscribers away from the next sub goal. 7 subscribers. What's up, Dorsey? Let's get into this Get Out episode, man. Let's see what's going on.
Oh no, come on, baby. You good?
Okay.
You with me. Nothing to be nervous about.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
There he is. What's up with the Libra, baby?
You don't know nothing about that, son.
Yes, sir. I see you getting down with the get down. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, Snow Bunny?
Hi.
Yeah, we're gonna holler at you in a minute, Leroy.
All right, twin.
Yeah.
The fuck is Desi Banks on?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, so this is Nat. You know the girl I was telling you about.
Hi.
No, come on now. We good around here.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're gonna go on and
What's
clear the
up,
elephant out the
Ivan?
room. We don't care nothing about you being white. The only color I see is green. Y'all come on.
Good?
Yeah. Hi.
My beautiful mom.
Hello. How are you?
You said Desi means Indian? I mean, look at the nigga. He looks Indian, man. Hey, the nigga looks Indian.
Good?
Oh, sorry. I must have zoned out for a second. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I do. She smelled the macaroni in the oven and lost it.
Macaroni be slamming, it does. Yeah. Look, never mind her. She's crazy. I'm Desi's mom, and this is Tisha. She's,
I'm no nanny. It's like Desi had 2 mamas to love.
That's true, that's true.
Get over here.
Come here.
Okay.
That's your hoe. Who that is? What's happening, cuzzo? What the weed at, nigga? Yeah, yes, sir.
What's up? Hi.
What up, baby? Pop. What up? Yeah.
Who the fuck this pussy asshole?
Hey. Calm your ass down, man.
Oh, hey, I'm Natalie. I'm good. How are you?
Nice to meet you, girl.
Hey, Nat. All right, chat, we finna move on from this. I didn't know this shit was this long, man. I gotta watch this shit on my own time, man. What the hell is Desi Banks doing? This is a 10-minute video. I thought this was like a skit. This is a whole damn video, man. I don't have time for that, man. Hold on, Desi Banks. Watch out right quick, man. We'll get into that shit in a minute, man. All right, chat, this is what I do want to get into, though. Hold on, where is the, Hold on, is this it? Oh, yeah, here you go. All right, so it's looking like the Asian community is upset with the FBAs. I don't know what's going on.
This mad at nigga.
I'm pretty sure the FBAs are about ready to boycott some shit. So let's see what's going on right here, man. Chat, y'all hit the like button, man. We got to get the likes up in here.
I ain't never seen nobody this mad at niggas. He got some balls. Watch this shit.
This is gonna be an unpopular fucking opinion, and I'm gonna call you out since you motherfuckers don't seem to fucking understand. Every single one of you over there boycotting Asian business and spreading more Asian hate.
Ooh, you could tell she's starving. She mad as hell. Black people stop shopping at them stores.
What's up,
now you
Savage?
realizing the black people got all the buying power.
you fucking black fucking people with your black fatigue, okay? And what your people call niggerism. Yeah, not my words, those are your people words. You people that is living in that black culture mentality, the poor victim mentality, thinking that people still owe you fucking reparation. Yeah, you motherfuckers. I'm the one talking to you motherfuckers.
That sister is starving.
Every single one of you failing in life. And then you want to blame everybody else. You see this whole Cyrus case and Mr. Chow? None of this would have happened if you motherfuckers raised your fucking kids right. That fucking little boy witnessed some of his business trying to steal fucking water, okay? Now, I might not agree with Mr. Chow chasing the fucking boy and shooting him fucking in Timbuktu, okay, wherever the fuck he was. But here's the crazy part. If you had disciplined your fucking boy right, he wouldn't be in someone's store trying to steal fucking a 50-cent bottle of fucking water in the first place, okay?
She right on that one.
Not only that, you go and attack the fucking attorney defending his clients, and then here's the truth of the matter. Your people, there are 7 black jurors who found your kid responsible, making Mr. Chow, okay, not guilty because they understand your fucking culture, your mentality. You failed your kid. Your society failed your kid. Your mentality failed your kid. That niggerism fucking attitude failed your fucking
So we got 2 things happening here. 2 things can be true at the same time. Part of what that...
All right, man, let's stop it right here. Now, mind you, the boy shouldn't have been stealing out of the store. He stole the damn water. The man chased him out of the store and shot him down. Like, come on now. Stealing out of the store ends and somebody died. It's not like he came in there and stuck the store up. It's not like he pulled out of them. He stole the water. Yeah, is that the crime? The time should fit the crime. The punishment should fit the crime. That's all I'm saying. If his ass was in there stealing water, his ass should have got in trouble. He shouldn't have died. He shouldn't have died. Let the punishment match the crime.
That Chinese lady, Asian lady, whoever she is telling the truth. Black community is fucked up. Black women are raising their kids bad. But the next part that black people ain't realizing is that he's mad because black people are boycotting them, and the only reason why they care is because black people are the ones going to their stores. Their stores are actually in the black community. He's mad because black people can determine whether they eat or not. Because black people control a lot of money in the world. All the companies really market to black people. Nike markets to black people. Like black people make y'all be like, people will put we gotta raise the price.
All right, he just talking, man. It's another video. Hold on, man. I forgot what the other video was, but it was a guy that was going off on him. Jason said that the little boy put all 4 waters back in the cooler. You black Asian savage? I don't know, man. Let's get into it. All right, chat. Double tap the screen, shut the live out, man. This is this guy right here, man. I don't know what the hell is going on with this guy, but that site that we were talking about the other day that's going viral, Pump Fund, that's doing the bounties. This is one of the bounties, man. They got somebody's fucking grandpa on here with a watermelon taped around his face, bro. Get this nigga, bro.
Man, watermelon man, I'm your friend. The watermelon man, I'm your friend. The watermelon man, I'm your friend.
So the bounty was he had to tape watermelon to his face and say, I'm watermelon man, I'm your friend 10,000 times. Now, chat, how much do you think this man got paid for this? How much do y'all think this man got paid for this, man? How much, chat?
The watermelon man, I'm your friend.
Bro, it's not an amount of money, bro. I can't do it, bro.
I'm your friend.
I couldn't do it, bro.
The watermelon man.
I couldn't do it, bro. How much money do y'all think he got paid for this, bro?
Watermelon man, I'm your friend.
He sat there. Look at him, chat. He has a watermelon hull cut on the top of his head. Watermelon chunks strapped to his damn face. He's dripping watermelon, bro. This shit is crazy. The bounty was $950, bro. I don't even know if he got paid the whole $950. This was for $950, bro.
The watermelon man.
He said it 10,000 times.
The watermelon man. I'm your...
Who the fuck has their uncle out here doing this shit, bro? Who has their uncle out here doing this shit, bro? Like, what? What? I'm your friend. Watermelon, man. It's crazy work, Chad. I'm not gonna lie. That's crazy work, Chad. All right, Chad. Double tap the screen, shut the live out. We're gonna get into some of the news. Yeah, we'll get into some of the news, then we'll get into some of the exclusive interviews that have dropped. Everyone double tap that screen for me, share the live out, man. Watermelon Man for $950 is fucking crazy.
CNN is now learning that Israel was preparing to launch a new significant attack in Tehran when President Trump stepped in earlier this morning. An Israeli...
Hey, Jay, don't come in this bitch trying to be funny. My daddy's some player. Talking about his dad, my dad. Hell no, my daddy's fucking P. What is you talking about here, man? My daddy is one of them old school hustlers, man. The fuck you mean is that my dad taping some watermelon to his face, nigga? And no.
A source and a U.S. official familiar with the matter say that President Trump told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hold off on any more retaliatory strikes. This was during the pair's second phone call in fewer than 24 hours. Let's go now live to Tel Aviv with CNN's Jeremy Diamond. Jeremy, what more are you learning?
Yeah, that's right, Boris. Last night, President Trump did not succeed in his earlier conversation with Prime Minister Netanyahu in getting Israel to hold off and not retaliate against Iran. We saw overnight 2 waves of Israeli strikes inside Iran, one targeting military sites, the other targeting a petrochemical facility after Iran fired multiple barrages of ballistic missiles. But then earlier today, the two got on the phone once again, and President Trump again urged Prime Minister Netanyahu not to retaliate further against Iran. And despite the fact that Israel, according to these sources, had several additional waves of...
Now listen, chat, my pops don't even watch my damn show because I cuss too much and I do a little too much, right? He supports what I do. He likes what I do over here, but he just doesn't watch it, you know? He doesn't. Now, if I strapped a fucking watermelon to my face and put a watermelon hull on my dad might slap the shit out of me and ask me what I'm gonna do about it. Now I'm in a predicament because I know what I did was dumb as hell, and now he just put his hands on me. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna whoop my daddy? I'm gonna whoop my daddy because I got watermelon strapped on my fucking face? No, man, my daddy not playing that shit. Not playing that shit, man. My daddy's a real OG.
Attacks planned in Iran, bigger even than what we saw overnight. The Israeli Prime Minister seems to have called those attacks off at the urging of the U.S. president. And then this is what Prime Minister Netanyahu told the public.
At the moment, the fire has ceased, because after we struck the terror regime in Tehran, it stopped attacking us. If the terror regime in Iran makes the mistake of attacking us again, we will respond with force.
So Netanyahu saying if they attack again, they'll respond with force. Right now, we got, I believe, some conflict going on. It's been going on all through the day. Carlos said, do I think I could whoop my daddy? Yes, my daddy old as hell. Like, what are you talking about? Yes, I'll whoop my daddy, but I got too much respect to whoop my daddy, especially about some bullshit I was doing.
And so while we have now reached a point where both Israel and Iran have said that they will not attack each other any further for the time being, there is still hanging in the air this very real possibility of this conflict resuming once again. And that's not only because of what you just heard from the Israeli Prime Minister, but especially because of what we've heard from Iran. Iran's military command saying in a statement that should Israel attack Iran, but also should Israel carry out additional attacks in southern Lebanon, then Iran will retaliate, and will retaliate with more force than what we saw in these initial...
Amber says Israel has the right to defend itself. Of course, Amber. But Trump said, look, man, Netanyahu, you on your motherfucking own, man. Netanyahu, you on your own, man. They said yesterday out of U.S. Air defenses didn't intercept any missiles. They said, look, man, we're gonna sit this one out. We're gonna sit this one out, Netanyahu. Sorry. Now, Amber, I don't know how you feel about that, but last night we sat that one out, man.
hostile waves of ballistic missile attacks over the last 24 hours. That is a very new and very concerning new red line from Iran, because it goes much further than what we had heard before. Iran previously warned that should Israel strike Beirut, the Lebanese capital, then Iran would strike Israel. And that's exactly what happened last night. And so now for Iran to be saying that this red line has moved, that it's now about southern Lebanon, presents the real possibility of this conflict resuming, because Israel is vowing to intensify its attacks against the Iranian proxy in Lebanon, Hezbollah, whose stronghold is indeed in southern Lebanon. And so this remains a very tense situation. That being said, in Israel, the restrictions on activity have been largely removed across the country. Students are
But that's the thing, though, Amber. You said, boom, they won't hit you again, but somebody else will. That's the thing. You already heard Putin already said, man, some nukes go off, man, his nukes going off. You seen what India and Pakistan said, anything come their way, they letting nukes off. Some shit can go boom, but I don't think it's going to be the only thing going boom. And we know what Trump got over there. Trump got the warhead that's the size of 20 Hiroshimas. He got that big bad motherfucker. It can get all bad real quick.
Expected to go back to school tomorrow after classes were canceled today. But again, Israel's military and the region at large remains on a heightened state of alert, again, because of these threats as it relates to Lebanon. Boris?
It's notable, Jeremy, that Netanyahu did not actually mention the ceasefire in his statement. Do we know?
I'm just going to be honest, Amber. You said Iran is the one launching missiles that are... Listen, Amber, last July, we dropped fucking bombs on them bunker busters. Then about 100 days ago, we launched joint strikes with Israel against Iran. And now you're talking about they're the ones shooting at everybody. You damn right. Shit, they got hit in the mouth twice. They got to do something. Shit.
Know where talks stand right now. The last we'd heard, there was an impasse. CNN reported through Fred Pleitkin, who is in Iran right now, that their position was that until the United States froze some $24 billion in assets, there was not going to be a memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, I mean, listen, President Trump seems convinced that they are still in those final stages of negotiations, but we've been hearing that from the president for several weeks now, effectively. But the president said that to Prime Minister Netanyahu. It seems to have been part of his argument to the prime minister for holding off on additional strikes, because he believes that a deal may be at hand. So, it's very hard to judge and to assess at this stage how close
You said Iran broke the ceasefire yesterday. Israel never agreed to the ceasefire. It was never, if you want to be honest, it was never a fucking ceasefire. That shit just looked good on paper. When did shit stop happening? Throughout this whole ceasefire, shit's been going on.
These two sides truly are. It seems that there are still disagreements over some of the very same issues that there were disagreements over several weeks ago, over, the state of the frozen assets, how quickly they would be released, as well as Iran's commitments to actually, remove its enriched uranium that remains inside of the country in further rounds of negotiations. The Israeli prime minister, it should be noted, still has very little confidence in those negotiations actually going forward. And now there is still this very real threat of additional Israeli attacks in Lebanon, bringing forward another round of ballistic missile fire from Iran. And that could again complicate further these negotiations with Iran. That's why President Trump has been intervening directly to get the Israeli government to kind of pare back and scale back its attacks on Iran, its retaliation. All of this hanging in the balance right now. Boris?
First of all, I think it's important to remember how this started. This started with a negotiated ceasefire under Trump administration auspices last week between Lebanon and Israel, and it's Hezbollah in Lebanon that violated that ceasefire. And now it's the Iranian regime in Tehran that's trying to challenge it by sending missiles at Israel for what it accuses Israel of doing, violating a ceasefire. So really, this is about Iran trying to flex its muscles in those final days before there's some sort of negotiation between the United States and Iran over that war.
Yeah, Iran has been demanding that the U.S. agree to unfreeze billions of dollars in frozen assets held in foreign banks. Trump is, of course, concerned about any comparison to the JCPOA and the Obama deal, and his repeated refrain about pallets of cash being sent to Iran. Ultimately, if Iran is saying that unless these assets are unfrozen, there won't even be a discussion over a memorandum of understanding, isn't that a step that the United States may have to take?
Yeah, these are really difficult choices for President Trump. I think what we've seen in the recent days is Iran testing his resolve. Is he willing to go back to war, or is he really desperate for an off-ramp to this war? And what they are saying is, this $24 billion, and clearly he is feeling boxed in by Republicans in Congress who were so critical of that Obama-era deal. And so I think the challenge for him is,
okay, Chad, I got a live poll question. Do you think the Obama-era deal was actually a path to a nuclear weapon? Do you think the Obama-era deal was actually a path to a nuclear weapon? Yes or no in the chat. Everyone double tap the screen. We got to get the likes up, chat. We're 30 minutes in. We got to get the likes up right here, right now.
how does he save face, make the case that this war was worth it given the situation we're in now? And I think then there's a challenge of is some level of sanctions relief or unfreezing these funds going to be something that Trump can justify to those hardliners who want to see a maximalist negotiation, when clearly what his team is doing here is a quite minimal, almost an open for open the Strait of Hormuz and end the U.S. naval blockade and push everything else down the road.
The U.S. apparently is planning to allow Iranian assets to be used to support rebuilding Gulf countries, U.S. allies that have been impacted by Iranian attacks. Iran is calling that plan absurd. Is there anything Tehran can do to push back? Could this ultimately be a bargaining chip in the broader negotiation?
Well, first of all, Tehran certainly still has chips that they can play. They continue to demonstrate that they're...
Hey, Ruggins, I know this might be your first time in here, man, but I'm going to need you to come in here and be quiet, man. You yelling and shit in the chat. I need you to take your shoes off, sit the fuck down somewhere, man. We got some refreshments coming, some drinks and shit, but you coming in here yelling and shit, hey, man, have to show your ass the door, man. We got some decorum in it. I do the yelling in here.
capable and willing and prepared to launch missile and drone attacks on Gulf countries. About this potential using of Iranian frozen funds to reconstruct Gulf countries, I don't think I've seen any Gulf reactions to this. It's very reminiscent of European decisions to ring-fence frozen Russian funds in Europe for Ukraine reconstruction, and I don't recall the Gulf countries being very supportive of that a couple of years ago. So there's much more to this story, and we'll...
All right, that's saying there's much more to the story. You said Iran would not fall, Carlos. What's up, Tree Crafts? Double tap the screen, shut alive out, man. I don't know. You said, how are the IDF not defeated today? I don't know, man. I don't know how a lot of this shit is unfolding, but we're gonna be here to cover it. So I believe this is in Collin County in Texas. This is the Karmelo Anthony trial in Collin County, Texas, I believe. Jake Lane.
We're going to stand by ours regardless. This is about race. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't give a damn.
Wow, those were the chaotic scenes outside of a Texas courthouse this week during the murder trial of Karmelo Anthony. Hello, everyone. This is the second hour of the big weekend show. It is day 3 of the trial of Karmelo Anthony, and he's accused of...
I don't know if y'all know about McKinney, but McKinney is like a rather affluent area. Now, McKinney was like a hot spot. I remember it was one of the fastest growing cities in America at one point, and a friend of mine used to live in McKinney, right? And he rented this house for years, like years. It was just a home that he rented. And when I tell you they gentrified out of that neighborhood, they came in and bought every house in the neighborhood, tore them all down, made $1 million homes. The whole neighborhood. When I'm telling y'all, every house on this street, the next street, and the next street, they bought, tore down, and built from the ground up and put $1 million price tag on it. I watched that happen in real time.
first-degree murder for the deadly stabbing of fellow 17-year-old high school student Austin Metcalf. Now, the alleged murder occurred at a Texas high school track meet back in 2025. The defense team claims Anthony acted in self-defense, while the state rested its case just moments ago after calling 21 witnesses. We have team coverage with former NYPD Inspector and Attorney Paul Morrow standing by. But first, we go to Brooke Taylor live outside of that courthouse in McKinney, Texas. Hi, Brooke.
What's up, Lamar? The poll says, should all voters, it's supposed to be show. Should all voters show valid ID in every election? It says should all voters should. I was running late. It's supposed to be should all voters show.
Brooke.
Hi, Tommy. Yeah, at the center of the prosecution's case right now are these students that were under the tent. They saw the stabbing and the moments leading up to it. More than 10 of these students and teammates testified in court yesterday and today. Now, many told jurors that they thought it was unusual that Karmelo Anthony, who went to a different school, was under their team's tent. The defense said that Anthony was sheltering from the rain and recognized someone there. Students testified that Austin Metcalf repeatedly asked Anthony to leave. Several recalled Anthony responding, "Touch me and find out." Now, jurors also heard that Metcalf made the first physical contact, but witnesses described it as minor. One called it a soft touch, another described it as a little push. They testified that moments later, Anthony pulled out a 5-inch folding knife from his backpack and stabbed Metcalf in the chest. The defense argues Anthony acted out of self-defense and fear. Now, one of the key witnesses today was a 17-year-old teammate of Metcalf's who was under the tent. He testified that Metcalf tried to avoid a fight, telling Anthony, quote, "Dude, I'm not going to fight you at a track meet." Now, jurors also heard from an 18-year-old witness today. This is important testimony because he knew both Anthony and Metcalf, and he was the student who Anthony was apparently saying hi to.
So I covered this case a little bit, and I went and researched, and a lot of the witnesses were getting caught up in like just different little things. Also, that 5-inch folding knife, under Texas law, that is a legal knife. Under Texas law, that was a legal knife. Now, as far as the altercation, I haven't seen the footage. They said today at trial, they played the footage, and they also played some cell phone footage. They're saying that it's looking like Karmelo was getting jumped. And even after he kind of, I guess he ended up stabbing Metcalf in the chest and got up out of there, and they started chasing him. They said Metcalf even turned to chase him before he collapsed. So I don't know. I haven't seen the footage, but they said that they showed the footage today in court. I listened to one guy talk about the footage that he's seen at court, and then I listened to a couple news reporters. So I don't know. I haven't seen the video. I don't think we will be able to see the video. We'll just have to go off of how they're describing the video.
He testified when Austin asked him to leave, quote, "Karmelo said, 'You'll have to move me.' Austin put his hand on his back. I saw Karmelo's hand go in the backpack. We're at a track meet. I wouldn't expect anything to be in there," Karmelo said. "Touch me, you'll have to move me and find out," trying to provoke him. "Then what happens?" the prosecutor asked. He said Austin puts his hand on him and falls back. "How was Austin trying to move him?" the prosecutor asked. He responded it was him trying to move him off his seat, a soft shove. The prosecutor then said, "What did Austin do?" The witness replied, "I see the hole in his chest and blood." He starts screaming for help. Now, the state's last witness was a medical examiner. The prosecution showed 4 pictures of Metcalf. His family stepped outside the courtroom so that they didn't have to see that. Meanwhile, if convicted of murder, Anthony faces up to life behind bars. Tommy.
Brooke Taylor, thank you so much. Joining us now in studio to break down the latest developments in this trial is former NYPD inspector and attorney.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know how old Karmelo Anthony was at that age scenario. He may be facing life. Even if he's found guilty, they're not going to give him an L. Not even in Texas. Even if he's found guilty, he's not going to get an L.
Our favorite, Paul Morrow. Paul, I could talk to you about this all day, but I'm very excited to get
The shove probably gonna make it second degree. Are they charging him for premeditated? Is this a capital? Have they raised it to capital, or is it still just what is it? What is the charge that they have him with? Is it capital?
your take on this. They got 21 witnesses. Right. You've got these witnesses we just heard from Brooke Taylor.
You said, bro, you just don't stab people are lost. I'm going to tell you like this, Ag, you come over here playing with me, getting stabbed, the least of your worries. I got something that's going to get you up off me.
They're saying that if Austin Metcalf touched him, it was a soft shove saying, hey, get out of our tent. Then you have, of course, the stabbing that led to the death of Austin Metcalf. How do you break this down? And second question, how does race play into this? Because the folks outside really want to make this about race. I'm not so sure that factors in legally, though.
No, legally, of course, race shouldn't factor into it, but let's be honest, it's going to be a factor if anybody is so inclined in the jury to listen to people that are trying to foment that attitude out.
Oh, it's first degree? They're cooked. They're not going to get him on first degree. It's no way they get him on first degree. Now, if it was second degree because of the altercation, yeah, he might be cooked. But first degree, I don't think they got enough for first degree. I don't think they got enough for first degree, chat. Second degree, he might be cooked. His ass might have got a 20 on a Y. They have to do 15 years on his head. But first degree, they might be cooked, man. They might have overcharged him. They probably should have brought second degree.
Outside the courtroom, and if they can hear the noise, we've seen that so often here in Lower Manhattan, and to ignore it is naive. Let's review the facts as we know them, right? Not the testimony, the facts. Number one, Anthony is...
The thing about it is they can't find him not guilty and then find him guilty on second degree. It's either he's guilty of first degree murder or he's not. If they overcharged him, they just overcharged him. It's fucked up. It's over with. Should have went for manslaughter, should have went for second degree. They can't charge him with first degree murder and then find him guilty of second degree. Hell no. No the hell they can't.
That is, Karmelo Anthony is in the opposing team's tent for no good reason. Number two, he's armed with a knife. All right, those are not in dispute. Those are facts. Then we get the testimony. He's there. He's asked to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He says, touch me, you'll find out. According to the testimony.
You said y'all are so quick to kill for nothing. Y'all so quick to put your hands on motherfuckers you don't know. Just stop touching people you don't know. Stop touching people you don't know.
Then Austin Metcalf puts a hand on him, gently shoves him, and then he reacts, reaches in, pulls out this knife. Why he had a knife at a track meet is going to be a big issue, I'm sure, going forward as we get to the defense and then, of course, the closing arguments. The action in this is going to come down to two areas. Number one, under Texas law, you can't provoke an incident and then claim self-defense. That's why I went into that recounting of the facts. He's in the tent, and then he won't leave, even after being asked numerous times. And he's from the opposing
Why does he got to
team,
leave?
And supposedly they are strategizing how they're going to run the track meet, and so they want him out of the tent. And then the other thing is that your response, if you are threatened with force in Texas, is that your response has to be, quote unquote, reasonable. Even under the open...
What I'm saying is you can ask him to leave 1,000 times. Don't touch me. You said, but it doesn't mean you take a life. Do you think he intended to take a life? At the end of the day, when some shit going on, this is how I know y'all have never been in scenarios. A lot of y'all ain't never been through shit. Not no shit like this, because when some shit going on, it's some shit going on. You're not worried about, am I going to take it life? You shouldn't take it. Listen, man, some shit going on. I need to get these motherfuckers up off of me, man. Straight up. Right, we'll deal with this shit later. I got to make it home. I got some shit I got to do. If it's me or it's you, I promise to God, I will fight tooth and nail to get you the fuck up off of me. I don't give a damn, bro. I don't know where y'all grew up, what fucking Candyland, Fairyland you grew up. I grew up, man, you keep your fucking hands to yourself because you don't know who gonna take it there. All that road rage and shit y'all be doing, I don't even play with people in the car because I don't know what the fuck they got in that car. Straight up, all this extra honking and riding people's tails and shit. Hey, man, you don't know what the fuck somebody got in that bitch, man. Straight up, man. You better make it home. That's what people need to start thinking. Start thinking about making it fucking home. Do you got something to live for? Before your ass act out, do you got something to live for?
Opening argument that his attorney made, which articulates the idea that Metcalf and his brother had sort of surrounded Karmelo. That doesn't, to me, rise to the level of pulling a knife and sticking it in somebody's chest. So I am hard-pressed here to see where they're going to go. They must have some really, really compelling witnesses on the defense side, because as of now...
You say, am I defending a murderer? Call it what you want, man. Don't touch nobody. Keep your damn hands to yourself. Straight up. Keep your hands to yourself. I don't know what else to tell y'all. Keep your hands to yourself. Everybody did, yeah, some shit went on. That's what happens when shit goes on. That's what I'm telling y'all. A lot of y'all have never had some shit go on. When some shit going on, you can't tell somebody how to react. That's just like you said, talking shit about me. You can talk shit about me, but you want to get mad when I say something that cuts a little deep? No, don't put your hands on me and get mad when I do something a little bit worse to you. Who said he did? It's not like a Chud the Builder case where he fucking got on there and was like, oh, I'm gonna leave a chimp out in the streets and shit. No, he didn't say nothing like that. All he said was, hey man, you touch me, I'm gonna show your ass something. Straight up, you touch me, I'm gonna show your ass something. It is what it is. Get mad, unsubscribe.
No, I don't see why they even went to trial.
Wow.
Paul, I find this case sad and disturbing, but also fascinating because I have, you know, if you've ever been in the state of Texas, at least until recently, I know constitutional carry is a different thing, but to get your carry license, you have to take classes on what the self-defense laws are in the state of Texas. I think every state should do it, but I think it's really educational. And you learn the Castle Doctrine. You learn why Texas is viewed as a state.
Y'all are missing the point. I understand there's a time and place for everything. Yes, this was a school function. Yes, this shouldn't have happened. I'm speaking in general fucking purposes. Have y'all ever heard of the term on GP? This is some on GP shit. Keep your fucking hands to yourself. No matter where you at, keep your hands to yourself. Everybody's not fucking playing.
That allows you to defend yourself in situations even other states don't. Sure. But there are certain things that are consistent that you have to fear for your life, or you know, and there's, you know, the opportunity to, or your property. So I want to, you know, take all subjectivity out of this and look at this and say.
And what did I just say? When some shit going on, y'all are talking about ending up in prison, doing this, doing that, man. Some shit going, they could have beat them to death. Anything could have happened. When some shit going on, it can go one or two ways, chat. It's no in between. The shit is either gonna go good or it's gonna go bad. And guess what? Sometimes you gotta deal with that shit. It just is what it is. Sometimes I've made choices in my life where I've been put in situations I had to deal with the shit, man. The good, the bad, and the ugly. When some shit going on, it's only one or two ways that shit gonna go.
Hey, okay, if I want Karmelo Anthony to get off on this charge, if I want to put myself in his shoes and make myself believe that he was justified under this more loose stand your ground law in Texas, I don't know how you get there. How does the defense get there?
You know, to me, it's going to be a pretty steep climb. I think what you likely will have to get from them is some sort of articulation that he was in genuine fear for his life.
And that's how I know, Joe Jack, you're not tapped in. You saying shit don't go on at a high school track meet. Shit going on everywhere. They fucking at them high school sports events. They selling drugs at them high school sports events. They shooting steroids at them high school sporting events. And they toting weapons at them high school sporting events. This shit been going on since the fucking 80s and 90s, man. Don't give me that shit. Don't give me that shit. That shit's been going on. You know how many people I know got suspended for firearms, white and black, expelled, had to go to another district and shit. Man, that shit been going on.
Exactly.
Because he had to reach for a knife, that's bad enough, but then he stabs Austin in the heart, right in the chest. I mean, you know, any 5-year-old knows that's likely going to be fatal. Now, there is reporting from the police report that Karmelo's response was, he's not going to die. One of the cops says to him, you know, if he dies, your life has changed significantly.
You talking about not where they going at. What y'all not realizing is McKinney is North Dallas. The fuck are y'all not realizing, man? Y'all think McKinney is all peaches and cream? Yeah, it looks nice over there, but what y'all not realizing is the motherfuckers in Dallas that want to get out of fucking the hood and shit, they go to McKinney. It's just not, this is North Dallas, man. You like 30 minutes away from Forest Lane. What are you talking about? Like, shit's not peaches and cream over here. Yeah, they were doing well, upper middle class family, but it's still shit going on. It's still shit going on.
Significantly, kid, and he says he's not going to die. He was actually kind of casual about it. I don't think he quite realized what he did. So maybe he's going to say, hey, look, I didn't mean to kill him. It's going to be some sort of intent issue here. But he also made other statements that I think are going to cut against him. Like, for instance, he didn't say he threatened my life. I was terrified. He said he...
Jerry talking about, and you're adding to the bullshit. Jerry, quit pulling my dick, man. Go to bed if you're scared, man.
Put his hands on me. Yeah. That's all he said. That's not much of an articulation of
fear. Does that rate premeditation? If he says, touch me and you'll see what happens?
You know, in this, premeditation is much debated in law. Like, there are instances where people say it can be literally a second or two.
On GTA.
But in this case, it really doesn't matter. The way Texas law is constructed, you have capital murder. That is, if you are going to be put on death row. And that has a specific set of circumstances that are not present here. Killing a witness, multiple victims, killing a cop. Same thing in New York. But furthermore, he was 17 at the time of the crime. Even if he did qualify for the death penalty under the Supreme Court decision, he doesn't get it. So the most he's looking at is 99 years.
Paul, I want to ask you about the jury selection process. There was
here we go. We got another one. Look at RM. You are the problem. Well, guess what, RM? I'm not your problem anymore. Everybody tell RM have a good night. He needs a little melatonin. He's grumpy. He's typing in all caps saying I'm the problem. So we finna put his ass to bed. Tell him good night, chat. The fuck out of here, RM, man. I'm telling y'all, if y'all scared, go to bed. Tonight, not the night. Tonight's not the night.
Were removed
if
by
you're scared, go to bed.
And the defense objected to that, claiming that it was racially motivated. However, the prosecution came back and said, no, it was because they were teachers. And at least one of them was on record, apparently, saying that he would have had a very difficult time voting to convict because Karmelo looked like just a kid. Give us your read on that.
Yeah, so you knew in this case, as we've seen in so many cases, that there was going to be a lot of scrutiny on the jurors, right? And in this case, you're 100% right. They had 3 female black teachers who were the only African Americans apparently in the jury pool that made it to that point. The prosecution used their exemption right to eliminate those.
You said, what, should he be scared? He's not scared. He shouldn't be scared of nothing, but obviously he's scared of me talking. He's scared of my fucking opinion. He's in the chat clutching his damn pearls, man. He's clutching his pearls like he just came from the auction. What's wrong with these people?
Those 3, the defense objected, the judge sided with the prosecution. But you're 100% right to focus on that. Why? Because that is almost certainly going to be an area of appeal. And, you know, I've seen it speculated online. I don't know that they would be this cute by half because you're playing with a young man's life here. But I've seen speculation where people have said things like, did the defense game that out, knowing that they would like, because what the prosecution used to get rid of those 3 was not, well, they're black, you can't do that. You can't do it on the basis of race. They did it saying they're teachers. And this was a student, and for the reasons that you said, they'd have a hard time being objective. That carried the day. So is it possible that they're actually...
I'm going to tell y'all like this. One thing for sure, 2 things for certain, man. My kids know not to put their hands on no motherfucking body, man. And teach your kids to keep their hands to themselves, man.
Playing for that appeal. I'd be very surprised. I think that, as I said, that's too cute by half. But nonetheless, that is going to be an issue. The jury selection in this thing, of course, was crucial. I don't know the rest of the composition of the jury, but I do know that there are no other African Americans.
Paul, I keep going back to the why question in terms of why would somebody bring a knife to a track meet in broad daylight? It reminds me of a certain parallel to a certain extent, Alex Preddy up in Minneapolis, where why would you bring a gun to an ice staging area when you provoked ice in the past and expect that something bad could not happen? So will that be coming into play as well in terms of why, not premeditated?
You said, do you teach your kids to stab people that put a hand on them? I teach my kids to make it home. That's for damn sure. My kids gonna make it home. Shit. Don't let nobody fucking play with you. Don't let nobody put their hands on you. Make it home.
so much, but why have a knife on you in the first place where you're not going out at night somewhere in a dangerous area? You're in Frisco, Texas, which is a very affluent town, one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
Yep.
The why keeps coming back to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's going to go to the idea that, first of all, he was in violation of the school rules themselves. The school apparently has a very strict rule about bringing any weapons onto school grounds. So
you talking about I'm sick, plug? Well, swipe up. Why the fuck you still here? The fuck you still here for if you think I'm sick? Hell, shit. You can let your kids get scored, drugs, stomped the fuck in, curb stomped, and beat the hell to smithereens, turning the other chick. This not that over here. My kids ain't gonna touch nobody, but they not gonna get beat the fuck up either. It is what it is. Let your kid get curb stomped, nigga. You deal with it.
So he did that at the opposing school, and then he brings that weapon into the tent. And I think that's going to go very strongly when the prosecutor buttons up his argument at closing that, look, he has this knife on him. He's not supposed to have it. He goes across to the opposing team's tent, sits himself down, and won't leave even after multiple witnesses have now said he was told to leave. So, as I was saying here to Joey, the idea here that they're going to somehow or other conjure some circumstances where the stabbing to the chest under those circumstances is going to be somehow considered reasonable really feels like a steep climb to me. They must really have something loaded up. But you know what? There's a larger why. And that's the part that I think that Joey was talking about the whole thing being sad, too. This kid, Karmelo, had never been in trouble. He was a good student. Apparently, he had, worked out, so, he was a winner. And, why take the knife? Why go?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Listen, yeah, he shouldn't have had a knife. It is what it is. But for all of you just on some GP shit, I don't know what the fuck y'all got going on. I'm not saying he should have had a knife and stabbed himself. What I'm saying is when you touch somebody, you don't know how the other person's going to react. So I'm telling everybody, forewarning, teach your kids to keep their hands to themselves. And when it comes to my kids, man, I don't know what kind of turn the other cheek bullshit y'all on, man. My kids will not be bullied. They will not be fucking played with, man. Straight up. Straight up. No, I don't want them to carry weapons all on school premises and shit, but one thing's for sure, two things for certain, ain't gonna be no fucking punk. You're not finna be getting smacked the fuck around and shit. I'd be damned if my kids is out here getting smacked the fuck around like some of y'all let y'all kids. Fuck that. Fuck that.
Look, because from where I sit, the whole thing was pointless. It does feel like a provocation. It's the last thing this kid needed as he's ending his school years and going on.
So Karmelo's character matters here, then?
It feels that way.
Sure. Okay.
Maybe at least in sentencing. All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox 1.
Kid come home, eyeball hanging out his damn head and shit. Well, you turned the other cheek? Man, hell no. Man, what? I don't know, bro. America done got soft as hell, bro. I ain't gonna lie, yeah. Soft as hell, bro.
Of course, in the West, no one cares about the people of Beirut, so the Iranians had to step in. They thought Iran was bluffing, and Iran wasn't. And not only did Iran hit back, it hit back very hard.
The Israeli war on Hezbollah in Lebanon is becoming a major barrier to peace between the US and Iran. 1 week on from the president's expletive-laden rant at Benjamin Netanyahu, both Israel and Iran have traded airstrikes.
See, are y'all not listening to what the fuck I said? Didn't I just say I wouldn't want my kids to have a weapon and I wouldn't want my kids to have a weapon at school or at a school event? Well, what does that leave, plug? That leaves what God gave them and what the fuck they can pick up. Straight up. Before my kids get beat the fuck and come home and never to be the same, fucking brain day, man, use what God gave you and what the fuck you can pick up. I didn't say carry a weapon. So why are y'all trying to frame this like Plug is saying? No, you can let your kid get smacked the fuck around. My kids are going to use what God gave them and what the fuck they can pick up.
Strikes in a major violation of the ceasefire. The flashpoint is Lebanon. Despite a Trump-brokered ceasefire name only, Israeli attacks on Lebanon have intensified. Well, this weekend, the IDF struck 2 housing blocks in Beirut, which it called a terrorist headquarters for Iran's Hezbollah allies. Iran then fired on Israel, sparking an exchange of airstrikes, which threatened to unravel the entire peace process. President Trump initially told Israel not to respond because, in his words, the US is closing in on something good in terms of a deal. Netanyahu's been crystal clear. He doesn't think the Iran war or the Lebanon war are done. And while Trump says that it's he who calls the shots, Israeli officials have repeatedly failed to answer the simple question whether they will stop bombing if Trump tells them to. So far, they've done, well, the exact opposite. Looks a lot like Iran, sensing Trump's desperation to get out of the war, has found another way to get what it wants. Iran may well lose its enriched uranium, but gain formal control of the whole.
Talking about tell him to use his brain. After he's gonna got punched in the eye, use your brain, son. You got punched in the eye. Use your brain. Yeah, use your brain and square the fuck up. You better hit him back. What do you mean? I know some of y'all got smacked the fuck around, bro. Some of y'all probably still get smacked around at the job. Sure, I done worked in some factory jobs. I done seen motherfuckers get took around back and smacked the fuck around right there on the floor, smacked around. I know some of y'all be getting smacked around at the job. Y'all too fragile, too frail, just getting smacked the fuck around and shit.
We'll move straight and end to all sanctions and the US commitment to preventing Israeli attacks on Hezbollah. The art of the deal, indeed. In a moment, I'll debate all this and more with my panel. But first, returning to Uncensored is Israel's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sharon Haskell. Welcome back to Uncensored.
Hello, Piers.
A lot of us are trying to scratch our heads and work out what is going on here. But I guess the fundamental question I would have for you tonight is when Donald Trump says, as he has done in the last 24 hours, that Israel will do what he tells it to do, is that true?
Look, I think that the collaboration and...
Man, I see everybody responding to Shell. I don't even see Shell. Oh, I see Shell. What's up, Shell? What's up, Kate?
The cooperation between the United States and between Israel are very close. Obviously, the Prime Minister and the President...
See, what y'all are failing to realize is y'all are trying to put every situation into this Karmelo Anthony situation. And I'm telling y'all over and over, I'm speaking on GP. On GP, if your child is getting beat the fuck up at school, what are you going to do? You going to just continue to let your child get beat the fuck up? You're not going to put him in some karate, the fucking jujitsu or something? Oh, I'll put my kid in karate. Well, what the fuck is karate for? What the fuck is it for? What is he doing all this training for this damn black belt for if he ain't gonna put hands and feet on somebody? The fuck are we talking about?
President are speaking on a daily basis, sometimes numerous times a day. Sometimes they disagree, but most of the time they do that in, we'll call it a closed door, not over the media. It was very clear also from the beginning that the ceasefire with Lebanon, depends on Hezbollah's.
It was self-defense the moment that person touched him. The moment you put your hands on me, it's self-defense, man. Now, did he take it too far? Could it be overkill? Could he, maybe. But the moment you touch me, man, I don't know where y'all grew up, man. Y'all was just putting hands and just touching people and shit. Y'all must have had shoving matches. Where I'm from, motherfucker would have went in your shit. Motherfucker would have went in your shit. And probably turned your pockets inside out.
Ability not to fire towards Israel. A ceasefire is not just a one-sided ceasefire. And while Israel's been attacked on a daily basis, our people have been killed, our cities in the north being destroyed, there's no routine.
All right, we're talking about the Karmelo situation. I'm going to pull up the different video. I'm finna find the guy that spoke about the video because we still talking about that. Karmelo Anthony video footage. I don't think they got the real footage, but they got a guy talking about the real footage. Jurors watch body cam. All right, here it goes. Let me put my filters on. Chat, y'all hit the like button. Let me find the one from today. Here you go. I ain't never watched this person video. Let me see what the hell this talking about. All right, chat. Hit the like button, man.
So many of you have requested that I speak about the Karmelo Anthony case, and today we will do just that. Now, this is a case that has sparked debate across social media, divided public opinion, and raised serious questions about self-defense, accountability, and what really happened on the trial was about to be attacked. The defense call at David Kirkendall Stadium in Collin County, Texas.
Man, that's not the damn video I'm looking for. Where is the man that was talking, man? Damn. All right, I know where I can go. We're going to go to Law and Crime. I know they got it. Chat, hit the like button. Boom. Here you go. 4 hours ago. Boom. All right.
A major twist.
All right, chat. Look, we're 4 subscribers away from 48,600. If this is your first time on my live stream, press 1 and we'll shout out the first timers, man. But we're 5 subscribers away from the next sub goal. Please subscribe to the channel.
Karmelo Anthony murder trial. The jury will soon decide the fate of the former track athlete accused of fatally stabbing a fellow competitor at a Texas track meet. Was it murder or self-defense? We're inside the courtroom with details on the defense's final witness and the unexpected moment that unfolded just before the defense rested its case. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Hey, Jerry, you acting like a scorned fucking ex right now, talking about you're still up talking bullshit. You're acting like a scorned ex, man. You acting like you was one of my bitches or something, Jerry. What's wrong with you, man?
All right, hey guys, real quick before we get to the big developments in this trial today, I need to tell you about this app called Upside. It gets you cash back on everyday purchase back a year TV. Thanks for sticking with us again on this one. Take us inside the moment that the defense rested in this case.
Yeah, Chris, so they called 3 witnesses during the Saturday session. They did do court on the weekend 2 days ago. 3 witnesses then, they came in today, did 3 witnesses this morning, and then of course we go on our lunch break. Just a regular old hour and 15-minute lunch break. I pop out here, do some television, go back in. And, mind you, Chris, we've talked about this. This judge has been very prompt. We're supposed to be back in at 12:30 p.m. local time, Central Time here in McKinney, Texas. So we get back in there, 12:35. All right, 10 minutes, 15 minutes go by, and all right, half an hour goes by. Long story short, Chris, we end up waiting for an hour and 45 minutes before something happens. And as we're sitting there, the only people we see go inside this courtroom are the Anthony family, his parents. And so, of course, the speculation starts running. Are they negotiating a plea deal? Is he going to testify? What are we waiting for? Because this is abnormal. This judge has been very prompt, been very on time, and very, a stickler about being inside the courtroom when he says to be inside. And so we get back in there. We're, awaiting this big imminent moment, what it might be. And then the defense says they're resting. No colloquy, no asking if he's going to testify and him responding or anything like that. We didn't hear him speak. But the defense is now rested, the state not putting on a rebuttal, the state rests. So that's where we're at now, Chris. And then the jury will have the case tomorrow, of course, following closing arguments and the jury instruction. And then they'll get the case and start deliberating. And the judge also pointed out that they will be sequestered, meaning they will not be able to go home for the duration of this deliberation period. They'll deliberate as late as.
You said touch me and you die isn't legally justified behavior. Touch me and I'm gonna fuck you up is. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Touch me and I'm gonna fuck you up is. Straight up. Might not try to kill you. Hey, man, it is what it is, man. Stop touching people. Just take that out of your mind. Stop touching people.
As 10 or 11 p.m. the judge said. And then if they decide to call.
That's what it. If I ain't even gonna say that.
Call it quits. They go back to a hotel, to which the hotel's televisions and phones have been removed out, so they can't have access to, news stories and things like this. So it'll be a very interesting thing, Chris, but it was definitely a surprising moment that they rested, pretty early. We expected this trial to go through Friday or Saturday, which it still could. We don't know how long those deliberations could be, but here we are on Monday, just the fourth day of testimony, and both sides have already rested.
Yeah, I think it was roughly 21 witnesses for the prosecution, and it was over like 2.5 days that they presented their case. And then you have a total of 6 witnesses for the defense. They started to present their side of the story on Saturday in the afternoon. And then here we are. I mean, we're recording this just before 3 o'clock Central Time, and they're done.
You said he should have taken the plea. What was the plea that they offered him? I think he beat it because they overcharged him. If they would have charged him with manslaughter, maybe even second degree, it probably would have stuck. But first degree, I don't see it. I don't see first degree.
What stood out to you today? I know they called a couple of track athletes to the stand as well as a police officer. Walk us through one of these final witnesses and what they mean for the defense in this case.
Yeah, again, 3 witnesses here, Chris. The police officer was really short. It was only 10 or 15 minutes. And the point that he pretty much made is that it is not illegal to carry a 5.5 or below a 5.5-inch blade knife into a stadium. While it might be, against school policy, it's not criminally illegal.
So boom, that's what they're saying. His knife was legal. It was below 5.5 inches, the foldable knife, so it was legal. He violated school rules, but he did not violate Texas law. He violated school rules, but he did not violate Texas law.
The blade has to be less than 5.5 inches, though. So he pointed that out, and that was pretty much the crux of his testimony. But one of the witnesses today, Chris, one of those athletes who was there, was testifying, of course, about the rain. Everything we've heard about this rain, and as part of the defense narrative as to why Karmelo was under that tent, trying to get out of the rain, which makes sense. He talked about when the rain started, him, Karmelo, and like 2 or 3 other students went to the dugout, a baseball dugout that's right behind the stadium to get out of the rain. He said they were only there for a few minutes before a coach came and told them they couldn't hang out there. And then as they were walking back from the dugout,
You said murder is illegal in Texas. Some of that should be justified. I'm not gonna lie, chat. What y'all don't realize is, damn, I'm lagging. What y'all don't realize is, chat, I know 3 people right now. Like right now, I can go shake their hand that beat murders. Like, turned the gun, shot somebody, turned the gun in, man, and is out walking free right now. I know 3 people. They went to jail for a little while, man, but shit, it's over with, man. They beat it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. So when you say is murder legal, sometimes it is.
This student says that his coach, he was on the 4x1 relay, told them to start warming up. And so they all go there, him, Karmelo, and everybody else go down to the field to start warming up. And he says, they're doing their thing, stretching out, running up and down the tracks, just warming their legs up and everything. And then he says he sees Karmelo go up into the stands. And, him and Karmelo, like, he knows him. He's known him for a while. That's, his friend on the track team, a teammate. And then he says he's out there warming up, and he starts hearing some sort of commotion under the memorial tent. And so he says, he's not quite sure what was going on. Was it, people that knew each other horsing around? Was it, a fight about to break out? He just wasn't sure, but it was loud enough and enough commotion to be concerned. And then he eventually saw Karmelo, and he described it as, sort of being kind of surrounded in his initial police report, his police interrogation, the answers he gave.
Yeah, one of them was my homie that actually got unalived. The guy that got unalived was my homie, and my other homie unalived him. They ended up getting into it, and yeah, some shit went on, and he ended up passing away. And yeah, he beat that for sure.
Police, once this happened, he described it as Karmelo as being surrounded. So he walks us through how he was walking towards the bleachers from the grass, about the 40-yard line he said he was on, towards the bleachers, just to see what was going on. He's turning back to see if his team.
Hey, and then you got Balls talking about you should be next. Guess what? You next, pussy ass. We're going to send your ass to the gulag. Everybody tells Balls good night, man. Talking about I should be next. Nigga, the fuck up out of here, man. What's wrong with you?
Teammates are realizing what's going on, and then he sees, a bunch of students scatter. That was his testimony, and that was, of course, the moment that the stabbing happened. Now, under cross-examination, the prosecutor hopped up and showed that surveillance video yet again, and he kind of challenged what the kid was saying. You know, the surveillance video had all kinds of angles. We have the angle on what happened, and then we have the angle that we actually saw of where this kid was on the field warming up. And they're playing the video, and it gets to the point, and the prosecutor literally goes, boom, this is the stabbing right here. And then
you said, what language is this? Man, listen, if you don't have the lingo, if you can't keep up with the lingo, the only thing I can advise you to do is hang around. After a couple months, man, you'll pick up on the lingo. It's just like moving somewhere, man. It's like an accent almost. It's almost like a damn accent. Hang around, you'll pick up what I'm putting down.
Then he paused it. And then it shows the kid another collection of runners not walking towards the stadium.
What's up, J Money?
So pretty much challenging what the kid had said. And then he talked about how,
don't I be with J Money serving everybody? I know when that part of the song come on, you be turning up, J Money. Don't I be with J Money serving everybody?
he had interviewed the kid, weeks before pre-trial, and he said when he showed.
Hey, chat, y'all gotta vote for me for Streamer University, man. Y'all gotta tag me in that shit, man. Streamer University needs me. Well, okay, they don't fucking need me, but I need them. But Streamer University could benefit from me, all right?
Showed him that video, the kid agrees that, some of his accounts didn't line up. Some of them were just plain wrong, and the kid agreed to that on the stand. So that was very interesting. And then, of course, on redirect, the defense comes back and says, well, if I told you that, the timestamps of these two angles of the video didn't match up, you would have, no idea of that. And the kid obviously, agreed to that. He's like, I don't know about the timestamps, but that came up earlier in the trial because they said the syncs were off.
Hey, listen, Streaming University, you would never make it. You are an illiterate, stupid EBT member. I love Jake Paul's calls y'all the EBT members. Listen, Slugfest, I'm going to tell you like this. I've never gotten EBT a day in my life. Wish I would have. I'm just going to be honest with you, Slugfest. I'm not even mad at you, bro. Do you know how bad your life has to be to sit in here with me for an hour, throwing tomatoes at the wall, hoping to get a reply? Nobody in the chat is acknowledging you. Nobody asked if you had a good day when you get off work. When you wake up, you have nobody to call. Your coworkers hate when you walk through the fucking door. I'm not even mad at you, bro. You got bigger fish to fry, dude.
Off a few seconds, so that's something that the jury's going to have to weigh here, Chris. But, that was the most powerful moment to me today as far as this student testifying his account, the prosecutor, challenging that account, but then the defense coming back and being like, well, this might be a couple of seconds off anyway.
Yeah, and you go back to that video because it's surveillance video, right, from kind of perched up on the top of the stands of this football stadium. I know you've seen it. It hasn't been released to the public.
What's up,
and it like at the time that it was presented, which I think was on the first day of this trial by the state, like we were talking about it not being the most compelling video because you don't really see a lot. But here we are so many days later, and that is something that for someone who could be a very important witness to the defense, prosecutors were able to pull that video up once again that the jury's already familiar with and actually point this witness out and say, and they're arguing that he actually maybe didn't see things the way that he thought he did.
Absolutely. And to your point, Chris, I'm looking at the video. It looks very grainy like a gas station video because it's very wide angle. And when you zoom in, you're going to lose quality. You can kind of make out what's going on, but it still is not the best quality video to be presenting. But at the same time, there are identifiable characters that the prosecution has made very known that.
So the video is grainy, but they said there's some cell phone footage as well. So they're saying the surveillance camera footage is grainy, but there's allegedly some cell phone footage that was caught at the scene as well.
They have talked about this weeks before this trial. So they've walked through, this student understood, and not only this student, but other students as well, have walked through the key players. And then we have the forensic video analyst on the first day that, had the different characters spotlighted in the video. So they made sense of what was really going on. But yeah, you would imagine, Chris, it seems like the prosecution had a better relationship with one of the defense's witnesses. So it's a very interesting thing to see play out and then have the defense case end this abruptly.
Yeah, and now they head into closing arguments, and you kind of step back and
Kofi Fowler said, yo, answer when I call you. Kofi, who the fuck is you talking to? See, y'all gotta quit coming in here acting like y'all my women, bro. Y'all gotta quit coming in here acting like y'all are scorned women, bro. It's not a good look on y'all. Kofi, who are you talking to?
And you think, like, what is the defense of this case? And like one of the questions that we've talked about, and it's come up a lot, is like, why does he have a knife at a track meet? And it seems like just based off this police officer, and I believe it's the blade.
Oh, I missed your super chat, lunatic. Hold on. Cypher comes through supporting the channel via super chat. He said 314 viewers, 87 likes. Everyone hit the like button. Thank you, Cypher, for supporting the channel via super chat. The lunatic libertarian comes through supporting the channel via super chat and says, all centralized systems are failed. Correct. Thank you for always showing up and supporting Cypher and lunatic libertarian, man. Thank you, and thank you for letting me know I missed the super chat.
It was 5.5 inches or more, then that would be a weapon you're not allowed to have. The blade in this situation, I think, was 3.5 inches.
Kofi, you said you trying to send money and bill with me, man. You got to get with me in the Discord or the email or send a super chat or something, man. You can't be calling that damn phone. See, I only cut the phone on when it's time to, cut the phone. Like, you can't just be calling that phone. Man, only Dorsey can just call the phone like that, man. But Dorsey don't even call the phone like that no more because he figured out Discord. We got Dorsey off the phone and on Discord.
And it seems like just from this testimony that the argument about, it's not necessarily like, oh, well, he had a blade at a track meet, and most people have said that they don't think that a blade should be at a track meet. It's more a question of, well, it's not really illegal to have it in his bag.
Yeah, that's the ultimate question. But the thing about it, Chris, and we talked about this previously, it was never addressed as to why it was there. I mean, they could have thrown out, maybe he liked to camp. Maybe he had a job outside of work to where, he lawfully had a knife on him. They did not even address that, which I thought was a major loss for the defense. Tell us why this knife was there. We know he used it. We know he made a terrible mistake and it ended in this horrible tragedy. But I felt like addressing why the knife was even there would have been, beneficial to them. But they, of course, missed that opportunity here. And, all that officer did was pretty much say it's not criminal to have a knife that's under 5.5 inches. So, again, he was only on the stand for a few minutes, Chris. I don't know how much that impacted the jury, how they're going to, take that into deliberations. But here we are. They're going to have that case tomorrow.
I know we talked early on in the state's case, and there was some very emotional testimony, it seems, when the state was presenting their case. I mean, to just think of the body cam video that was shown, the 911 calls that were made.
That's what I'm saying. That's why when they say first-degree murder, like he didn't keep stabbing him or nothing. It's not like he kept stabbing him. So I'm not saying he didn't murder this kid. I'm not saying that the kid didn't die. What I'm saying is I believe the state overcharged him. I believe the state should have probably came with a manslaughter or a second degree if they wanted these charges to stick. I don't think they have him on first-degree murder. I just don't.
I know you were sitting behind Austin Metcalf's family, his father, but you also saw some emotion on the jury early on in this trial. Mm-hmm. How did it seem the jury was doing today?
How can he get found guilty of a lesser crime? The charges are here. The trial is going on. There were no superseding indictments. There were no other charges added. The charge is first-degree murder. They can't come back and charge him with second degree. What they can do is offer him a plea deal where he can cop out. Like during the middle of the trial, they can go up there and they can be like, hey, we'll let you cop out to a manslaughter or something. But they can't recharge him for this shit. He beats this shit, it's over with. He beats this shit, it's over with.
And really, even since Saturday when we talked, when you think about just how the defense presented their case, like what type of impact did it appear? And I know it can be subjective when we talk about body language and what's actually going on in someone's mind. Right. But what did it appear that the jury, how they were taking in the defense's case?
So, Chris, we haven't really seen...
What I'm telling you is this. The only way the charges is if they offer him a plea deal, if they offer him to plead out to lesser charges. If he beats this first-degree murder, he's not going to have to plead out to anything. If they overcharged him and can't prove, they have to prove that it was first degree. That's what I'm saying. They got to prove that it was first degree.
Much, visible emotion from the jury since when we talked previously when they were, seeing the body cam. They weren't even that emotional, or at least I.
Amber sitting here saying not true. Amber, have you even been in fucking trouble? What the fuck do you mean not true? If I just beat a first degree fucking murder case, what do you mean I can go to jail for second degree? If I beat it. What the fuck is beating it? You don't get any more time if you beat something. They have to bring new charges. They can't bring the same charges on him. What are you talking about?
Expect them to be more emotional when they saw photos of Austin Metcalf on the autopsy table. They saw 2 photos of him on the table. Then they saw 2 photos of his heart actually removed from his body as the medical examiner was explaining, the injuries and the severity of those injuries. But since then, they've just been very focused. It seems like they're laser focused on everything that the prosecution and the defense are presenting, both narratives. No matter what the narrative is on either side, they're really laser focused. Like I look at them, I look across the courtroom to see, what the vibe is among, what the aura is.
No, Amber, you're misinformed. I done been dealing with this shit. Didn't you just hear about that? I done been dealing with this shit my whole life. You can listen to Google, okay? But you can listen to Google. By all means, listen to Google. What I'm telling you is, Amber, I done been in and out of them fucking courtrooms, man. You're not hearing me. My record got expunged. Once you beat something, they can't bring those charges against you again. Not the state. It would have to be the feds. The feds would have to pick it up. It's over with. If he beats this shit, it's over with.
Is the atmosphere within the courtroom. But since then, for the past couple of days, Chris, they've just been very honed in, very serious, very stoic, just taking all the information in, which rightfully so, because this is a child's liberty at stake here, of course. Of course, we have a victim here that's no longer coming back. We have, again, a 17-year-old's liberty here at stake, a sad thing all around. So they want to take all the information in to make the most educated, fair decision that they possibly can, of course.
And I know you talked about just how stoic Karmelo Anthony seemed, that his family seemed throughout the entire trial. Yeah. Just as his family was going back into the courtroom, was there any sense of emotion that you got from his family, maybe today in the courtroom as well?
I did not, Chris. It's been the same story for the past 4 days. Today's day 4 of testimony, and again, very serious, very stoic. It's of course, it's a grave situation that they're dealing with. Their son could go away forever. Karmelo was a son. Karmelo was a brother. That's their son. That he has loved ones as well. And they're taking in all these these allegations against him just as in real time. So, but I'm looking over at them as they're walking back in that courtroom, and they were just also very serious walking back in. I looked at them when we finally got back in after that hour and 45-minute break, still sitting over there, father's arm around the mother, just taking it all in. And then the defense, of course, rested, and then everyone left. We went back in for maybe a collective 5 minutes. So I'm sure they're dealing with the gravity of what's really going on. Again, like you said, subjective. We don't know what's going on in people's minds. I'm sure there's all kinds of mental gymnastics going through their minds as well that may not be presenting outwardly. But again, they're sitting there just stone-faced, just taking it all in like everyone else.
Yeah, and we'll see what the closing arguments are, for the defense, how they really present his side to the story, even though he won't be testifying himself. One thing I was thinking of today, just kind of like going through the notes, is just how many people on the state side of it bluntly said in court that they did not believe that this was self-defense. And then you look at some of the defense witnesses, and I didn't get a sense of even people who had testified that, they saw commotion and all of this, and maybe they even witnessed this push and thought it was a forceful push from Austin Metcalf. I don't know if there was ever a witness and that looked to the jury and kind of similarly on the defense's side said that they believed.
Nah, bro. Everyone double tap the screen, shut the live out. I think we're on 25 likes away from the legs like gold, man. I don't think anybody should ride, man. If Karmelo beats this, man, listen, I don't think anybody's gonna ride, man. There'll be probably some people go out in the streets. Cops will probably be pulling niggas over a little bit more, but nah, I don't think nobody's gonna ride.
That this was self-defense.
No, there's not 100% of.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think even if the white folks ride in Texas, I think Greg Abbott will still call the fucking the National Guard. I think Greg Abbott, I think they listen, man. When white folks get out there riding in Texas, Greg Abbott gonna call the National Guard.
These student eyewitnesses all said that one, they didn't think anything was going to happen, Two, all of them said the prosecutions, and actually, oddly enough, Chris, one of the witnesses on Saturday, one of the defense's witnesses, also said they felt Karmelo was in the wrong. And the thing about that witness, Chris, they got up there, they put him on the stand, and the defense attorney said, you know, we haven't talked before. We only talked for 2 minutes outside here in this hallway before you got on. And that was interesting to me because, you know, there's a lot of that goes into witness preparation, you know, especially with a trial with as high magnitude and tension as this one. So I thought that was very peculiar. And then so they walk through the situation, and then the prosecution comes up there, and the prosecutor's like, so we've talked more than 2 minutes. In fact, I was texting your father last night, so this would have been last Friday night. So it was odd to me that it seemed as if the prosecution had a better relationship with one of the defense's witnesses. And then that witness, defense's witness, again, said that he still believed that Karmelo was in the wrong. This is in Saturday's testimony. So I haven't heard any testimony from any of these students there so far that, you know, spoke in favor of Karmelo, which is, you know, I expected going into this, you know, maybe half and half. Maybe 5 or 6 would say, yeah, you know.
Yeah, for sure. White people do ride. We ain't gonna do that. White people was just riding in Minnesota and in Portland. White people for sure ride.
Karmelo was being an instigator, and then another couple would say, you know, Austin was being an instigator, which there have been some that said both of them, you know, frustrated.
I think like the only groups really that don't ride is like probably the Asians, bro. Because during the ICE raid rides, man, the Latino community was out there cutting up. They was riding. We seen the blacks ride during the Summer of Love, and white folks was riding in Minnesota and Portland, and yeah, it might just be the Asian community.
Frustrations were rising. We know how young boys get with the hormones and competitive sports and all that. So we've had some of that too, but no one's really said that this was self-defense. All of them have said that they don't see it as self-defense.
And I wonder too, because there was this, you know, the tent culture. I mean, we've learned over the last 4 days a lot about how track meets work in Texas. And, you know, the defense has people who say, like, it's okay to go under a tent. And then you have the prosecution, which said, you know, at track meets, it's really uncommon for an athlete to go under another team's tent. And then you have, it seems like there was a variety of answers.
Y'all said conservatives don't ride. They just do the KKK rallies, you know what I'm saying? That's their form of riding, man. They put on little hoods and shit, man, get on them horses, man, and get to going downtown.
When it comes to how strong the push was from Austin Metcalf, but then it feels like we get to that point where this stabbing took place, and it didn't seem like for the defense either that we really had a witness that was able to look and exactly see what happened kind of within that moment. That may be what matters more than anything else in this entire trial.
Yeah, and the thing about it, Chris, that moment, all of the witnesses said it happened so fast. They saw, you know, scuffles going on, but they took it as...
Listen, I'm going to tell y'all like this. Y'all don't like when I talk like this. I let y'all know where I'm from. I'm from the South. Now, y'all aren't going to tell me that these conservatives aren't putting on the damn hoods. Now, all of them aren't. There are some really good conservatives. I got a really nice story about some what I would assume are conservatives, but I was in, you know, no niggas allowed land. I was out there where it ain't no blacks. You know what I'm saying? I got some good stories, you know. But we're not gonna act like all the KKK members are just Democrats. We're not gonna do that. I know y'all say, look up where the KKK was founded and I know y'all say that, but we're not. Listen, I'm from the fucking South, bro.
Nothing's not going to happen. If anything, you know, Austin will push him and he'll push him back. And then before they knew it, they didn't know somebody was stabbed until Austin lifted up his shirt and they described it as a hole in his chest. So, I mean, they might not have seen the moment. It seemed like the way they described it was in the blink of an eye. But all of them have described it as, you know, something was going on, you know, emotions were running high, but, you know, they said they weren't really scared. You know, they've seen, you know, boys talk trash to each other before. They've seen this kind of, you know, competitive nature.
Now y'all gonna say there is no KKK. Brother, there is a KKK. I'm in Arkansas. Between Arkansas and Tennessee, man, the KKK is alive and well. They actually have a roster. You can actually go see how many members are in the KKK right now that are in the paperwork. You can see where all the chapters are. You can see where they have the rallies. Last year, they marched down MLK in Little Rock. They marched down MLK in Little Rock. Like, what do you mean the KKK is not real? That shit's here.
come out, and then all of a sudden, you know, this horrendous act happens that takes the life of Austin Metcalf. So, and it happened just like that. It's by the way they testified. So maybe they just didn't see it, Chris. But you know, there's nothing there that, again, from witness testimony that pointed toward that this was actually self-defense based on their accounts.
Yeah, and I just think too of how chaotic this moment was, because, you know, for us in high.
You said you're black. Tell us you're not a Black Panther. No, I'm FBA. I'm FBA. I tell y'all that shit. Everybody asks what are nigga? I tell y'all I'm FBA, nigga.
Hindsight, we can break down, and that's what this trial is about, like breaking down every step of what led up to this happening and what happened after it, with Karmelo allegedly throwing the knife and running away, and then, you know, the question of whether or not this was all self-defense. But it just seems like from the variety of accounts from both state and defense witnesses about what happened, it just speaks to how chaotic all of this was, because it just happened so quickly. Not to put you on the spot, but I just think of these jurors now, and when they get into that jury room, they're going to be going through what they heard, you know, these 27 total witnesses that they heard from both sides over the past 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, as you kind of think back to what you took in over the past 4 days, like, what are some of the big moments that stand out to you that the jury might have at their front of mind?
Chris, the moment that still stands out to me was from day one. I believe we talked about it a few days ago, and that's when I saw the jury get emotional, is when that coach that testified, who was also a 14-year Iraq veteran, who has seen carnage, who has seen death, who did 3 tours in Iraq. He was a coach, and he was one of the ones that, you know, ran over and took his jacket off and started, you know, doing the compressions and putting pressure on the wound.
Dorsey, you gonna make me take your damn mire wrench, Dorsey. Don't get in here cutting the fuck up like that, Dorsey. You gonna make me take your damn mire wrench. And Carlos, you ain't even foundational. You already told us you're not foundational. Cut it out, Carlos.
And, you know, he was on the ground doing the compressions. We had another coach on the phone calling 911, to which they played that 911 call. But that coach, that was the veteran, said he's heard the death rattle before. When somebody stops breathing and then their life or their body does one last-ditch effort to bring oxygen to their brain to try to save their life. And that's what we've heard, you know, on shows and movies and stuff as the death rattle. It's a different kind of breath, you know, your last breaths. And so he said that Austin was not breathing anymore. The coach on the phone is telling 911 that. And then you hear in the 911 call that coach on the phone says, oh, he's breathing again, he's breathing again. But then the coach on the stand was saying, you know, me being the war veteran, have seen people die before, I knew those were those types of last breaths, but I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to ruin, you know, the hope that was surrounding. Because of course it was a bad thing, but they wanted this kid to live, you know, his friends and the coaches around him. But that was the most emotionally impactful thing. And that's when he gave that testimony. They played the 911 call, and that's when I looked up and saw the jury, a few of them wiping some tears from the eyes with their Kleenex. So I'm sure they're going to take that into consideration, obviously, you know, pulling at the heartstrings when they go back into those deliberations as they, you know, weigh the facts of this, but there's the human part of it as well.
Yeah, and as they walk through it, you know, I think that there's still that question of, you know, a knife and a fist fight. And when it comes to self-defense laws in Texas, it appears difficult to, you know, if you're the one who has the weapon, to argue self-defense. But we'll see in a closing argument what Karmelo's attorney is able to do in presenting his case. Last one for you, Cody. And I know Austin Metcalf's family has been in the courtroom throughout this trial. His dad was someone who did some very emotional interviews. You can't imagine what that family has been going through. And then
Right.
even you had the medical examiner, I think on Saturday, last time we talked, who just kind of urged the family to get out of the courtroom because that was going to be incredibly graphic testimony. Was the Metcalf family there today? Like, what did you take away from just how they're doing now, day 4, after hearing all of this incredibly emotional testimony?
This is what I'm saying, bro. I don't know why y'all always come in here every night. Y'all got different opinions. Do y'all not know, like, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. Right? I'm an independent. Straight up.
It's kind of the same old story, Chris. You know, they're sitting there, and it was less emotional today because there wasn't much they haven't heard already. You know, and there were still moments where Jeff would, you know, put his head down and just kind of, you know, shake his head a little bit, you know, hearing, you know, about the last moments of his son. But today was a little less emotional because not as many witnesses, not as much, gruesome testimony about, with the medical examiner. They weren't in the room for the medical examiner testimony as well. The prosecutor advised that they leave the room, to which they did. But same vibe here today, Chris. They're sitting there taking it all in. Of course, arms are around each other. I'm sure, obviously a very emotional time for them. So we'll see how it plays out once those closing arguments get underway tomorrow morning.
And they'll get underway tomorrow morning, and then we will wait to see what the jury decides. Court TV's Cody Thomas, who has been in the courtroom for the Karmelo Anthony murder trial through the 4 days of testimony. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely, Chris. Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
Closing arguments will begin tomorrow morning, and then we will wait for the 12 people of this jury to make a decision, and we will follow it every step of the way. That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we're also now streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
All right, chat, everyone hit the like button. Hit the like button, man. We're going to get back into this Iran-Israel, man.
On Hezbollah's ability not to fire towards Israel. A ceasefire is not just a one-sided ceasefire. And while Israel's been attacked on a daily basis,
damaging to him, to the Republicans. You've got the midterms coming. It's it's starting to drag on in exactly the way he's always said he hated these conflicts in the Middle East involving America to drag on. Always said he wouldn't do that. What's the off-ramp looking like for President Trump?
Well, a few nuances here, Pierce. First of all, I'm with you. I don't think Donald Trump would have wanted to get involved in this in the first place had previous presidents who pounded their chests and said they would never allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon had actually done that. He had to come in and say, all right, how do I actually prevent them from doing so? It's getting increasingly dangerous, not just for America, but for our interests abroad as well. The off-ramp, though, is very difficult. As you know, foreign policy is so detailed, so problematic because it's been going on for generations in different parts of the world.
All right, I'm finna throw y'all a curveball, man. Let's see what a chat is on it. Who is the global superpower right now, chat? In your opinion, what country is the global superpower right now?
Different arguments, different warring factions. Donald Trump comes in and says, how can we try and broker
the big dog
or some type of peace deal here? Easier said than done. And we know the military prowess of the United States. We know the operation was extremely successful there. We know the economic pressure is also working to cripple Iran as well. But you asked about the off-ramp. I'm concerned at this point because I think there could need to be more military pressure applied because that's what Iran understands. And if right now they're refusing to come back to the table, they're going to keep firing rockets at Israel, then what are you going to do but for going after them and targeting them again before you can bring them back?
Well, it seems to me, Hogan, in that eventuality, it seems the president has two options. He either re-engages in ferocious military action, potentially even putting troops on the ground to get the enriched uranium, which is the way most military people say is the only way.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. I think, I still believe it's the United States, man. 20 Hiroshimas, man, and a motherfucker crazy enough to push that button, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. Before it gets all bad, man, believe me, I think that these people are going to push that damn button. The big
way you can end up taking it if it's not voluntarily surrendered. And that could carry with it catastrophic downsides, right? Both in terms of human life lost and things spiraling out of control. Or he just has to suck up what most people will view as a best of very Pyrrhic draw and what many people would categorize as a defeat if it turns out that
What's up, Mr. Anderson?
Ayatollah
I'm good.
has been replaced by his own son, who's even more radical, that the IRGC remain in a tight grip of control in the country, that the people don't rise up at all, as was reportedly promised by Benjamin Netanyahu, and if Iran retains any form of control over the Strait of Hormuz. I just think if those four things are still in place when a deal is done, then I don't understand what victory can possibly look like. But it may be the best of two terrible options.
Well, we talked about this months ago when I said all the hand-wringing before and during, it's what matters after.
Right, but if it ended like that, how would you categorize that?
Well, the perception is, did we win or did we lose?
Yeah.
And if we won by preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon, they've been greatly crippled. They can't fund their proxies.
But if
all
they
over
keep
the
their
world.
enriched uranium, then
Yeah,
surely.
I don't think Donald Trump wants them to keep that enriched uranium.
Right.
And if
So
they
that's
do,
the key thing.
Oh, very much so. And,
Yeah.
and if they do, it's got to be under some type of scrutiny where we can actually get in there and view it, which, as you know, Obama wasn't allowed to do. They enriched at a much faster rate than they said they were going to. Lied, of course. Iran is notorious for doing this.
Yeah, but it's also true that they have massively accelerated the enrichment program since Donald Trump tore up the deal with Obama. So that is also true. Let me bring Rania Khalek in. Welcome back to Uncensored. You know, if I was advising President Trump, I would honestly be now saying, just get out of this, right? It doesn't matter, actually. If people want to mock you, taunt you, say it's a loss, whatever, I just don't see any upside going forward that is going to work as a genuine victory here. It's proven to be massively harder, I think, than he was led to believe it would be.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I think one of the biggest blocks is that everybody kind of needs a victory narrative. And there's a long way away to get to everybody having a narrative they can come away with without feeling like a loser. But we also have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the Israelis, because the Israelis and the Americans actually have different goals here. Trump wants out of this. He's kind of done. The Iranians want this over. But like Glenn was saying earlier, the Israelis want basically permanent war because they want to keep everybody in the region weak and unable to ever pose a challenge to them, either militarily or economically. And that's why Israel attacked Beirut yesterday, because Iran has repeatedly said this is a red line. And so Israel was testing Iran, and Iran eventually responded. And then Trump posted, stop shooting, right, on Truth Social. But the thing is, if he's actually serious about restraining Netanyahu, which is what he needs to do to get to the end of this war, he needs to restrain the Israelis. Truth Social posts aren't going to be enough. There has to actually be leverage. And that means withholding some support and weapons for the Israelis. And until he's willing to do that, to demonstrate that he can restrain the Israelis, we're going to keep being stuck in this time loop where the Israelis keep trying to torpedo a broader Iranian-American settlement by really mostly using Lebanon, but even demonstrating a willingness to hit Iran themselves.
Right. Colonel Kent, welcome back to you. You know, it seems to me the problem Donald Trump has is he doesn't have famously a lot of patience. And I think he's running out of patience with this. But the problem he's got is that both the Israelis and the Iranians historically have a lot of patience and would be quite happy to be still going at each other for several years. That clearly cannot work for Trump politically. So he's got to try and bring this to an end. But, you know, this statement he made overnight, one of many statements on Truth Social, which, you know, often get contradicted within hours. But this statement that Israel won't do anything if he tells them not to, I just find that very hard to believe. I think Israel's working to a completely different narrative here to Donald Trump.
I think it's easy to misunderstand the relationship between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. And what is said publicly, particularly by President Trump, is often very different from what's discussed privately. And I think the two of them are pretty much on the same page over this conflict. I think perhaps, if anything, one of the major points of difference is linking Lebanon, what's happening with Hezbollah, to Iran. And I think that's one thing that the Prime Minister in Israel does not want to happen. He sees it as being necessary to continue prosecuting the war against Hezbollah, particularly as Hezbollah has been on the offensive against Israel. His attacks into Beirut in the last couple of days were in response to Hezbollah attacks against Israel's civilian population in northern Israel. And quite clearly, he has to have the freedom to operate in order to defend his own population. But I think as far as the future of the conflict in Iran is concerned, both of those two leaders are on the same page in terms of a negotiated solution. And the key thing is to, first of all, is to negotiate the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, which I think is President Trump's number one priority. And then the second priority that Trump has is to remove what remains of Iran's nuclear capability. And I think Netanyahu agrees with both of those things. I believe that both leaders would probably also like to see regime change, but clearly that's not going to happen in the immediate future. It might well happen sometime as a result of this conflict. But I think meanwhile, negotiating those two issues is the priority. I think the negotiation for opening the Strait of Hormuz is probably going to come about at some point in the coming weeks or days. And the negotiation, which may follow on with the nuclear capabilities, is probably going to be much more problematic. But the key thing, I believe, in this whole conflict is for President Trump to retain military dominance in the region. And it's not just Israel that want to achieve these things and the US, it's also the Arab countries who themselves have come under pretty significant attack from Iran. And so the Israel, US and the Arab countries, certainly the Gulf countries, in my view, are on the same page on this.
Well, they might be, Glenn Greenwald, but the problem is the Iranians have proved to be remarkably resilient against the greatest military firepower that's ever been unleashed. You know, I mean, the American military and Israeli military combined have obviously thrown the kitchen sink at this in the first few weeks, and we were assured it would be over in 2 to 3 weeks. Then it was 6 weeks. Then it was 8 weeks. And now here we are, week 15. There's no sign of it being over anytime soon. It took 2 years for Obama to negotiate his deal with Iran. Iran knows that Trump is under a ticking clock of pressure with the midterm elections. And why would they be in any hurry? They've been facing an existential threat to their entire regime, which they've so far managed to withstand.
Chat, everyone be sure to hit the like button on your way in, and we're 25 subscribers away from the next sub goal. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We go live every single night over talking politics, entertainment, and current events, 10 p.m. Central Time.
I don't think the threat of more military action of a conventional variety is going to work. And we've seen an attempt at a blockade. That hasn't worked. Every time they try anything with Iran, Iran now knows its most powerful weapons are shutting the Strait of Hormuz or firing off a few missiles at its neighboring Gulf states with all the damage that causes, mainly to the economies of those countries. I just don't see where there's any real motivation for the Iranians to do a deal anytime soon. The longer they string it out, the better for them, I would argue.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was all so predictable. They're defending their country. They're defending their thousands-year-old Persian civilization. Of course, they're not going to let Israel and the United States just waltz in and order changes that they want. They're going to use every means available. How many times do we have to see that? We were told we would run roughshod over the Taliban. When we left 20 years later, they waltzed back into power as if the whole thing had never happened. How long did we stay in Iraq? For exactly the same reason. They engaged in guerrilla warfare in defense of their country,
Thanks,
even though we had a
Lau.
much bigger military. This was all talked about for so many years. It's the reason no president has started a war with Iran. It's the reason President Trump kept saying that he wouldn't. And there's so many examples where he specifically said, including in the 2024 campaign, that if you vote for Kamala, you'll get war. If you vote for me and JD Vance, you won't. And, you know, it's amazing to listen to this thing about nuclear weapons as if Iran had nuclear weapons or was getting nuclear weapons. Iran didn't enrich to 60% until the Iran deal was nullified by President Trump. You had inspections and invasive surveillance. This is the pretext for the war. Nobody thinks Iran was about to get nuclear weapons. Even Tulsi Gabbard said the consensus of the intelligence community was that they weren't trying. They didn't have a program to do it. It's a repeat of the lies about Iraq. The real reason that this war happened is because Israel wants to shatter Iran for the reason Rania said earlier, and so did I, which is that they're the only ones who can limit Israeli hegemony in the region, and they got the United States to fight their war for them. They tricked President Trump by making him think that it would last a very short time, and he's saying, oh, we never thought they would close the Strait of Hormuz or attack these Arab dictatorships, even though that was always the reason not to go to war with Iran, is they could destroy the energy facilities of Persian Gulf tyrannies, which is exactly what they're doing, and can do far more if you restart this war. It's a complete disaster, and there's no way out other than by stopping and creating some narrative that President Trump can say is a victory, but in reality isn't.
Hogan Gidley, if you go back and reread the New York Times big deep dive a few weeks into the war, detailing how Prime Minister Netanyahu went to the White House, was in the Situation Room, the head of Mossad was beamed in, and they laid out a series of events that they said would happen, that they could decapitate the Ayatollah and his top people, the IRGC would then collapse from within, the people would rise up, and they'd all be too distracted to concern themselves with the Strait of Hormuz. Do you think and I think President Trump believed that this was entirely possible and was convinced. And I also believe that he genuinely has wanted to deal with Iran. So I don't think these two things are incompatible. But do you think if he had known how this was going to play out and that we would be where we are 15 weeks later, that he would have joined that war at that moment?
Yeah, ifs and buts. I mean,
no, I realize it's hypothetical, but what, knowing him as you do.
They're all hypothetical. Look, I don't think Donald Trump at his core likes death or destruction. That's why he's been trying to be a peacemaker all over the world and has brought a lot of countries to bear on that front. Of course, he doesn't like his opponents talking about going to war either. He talked about not getting involved in stupid wars or long protracted wars. I would argue this is neither. But if you notice the through line here that Glenn pointed out and the other panelists, it's time. I think the only leverage Iran has is time, because they think America is going to collapse politically under the assault from the media and others, the dissatisfaction of what's going on here at home, and that's going to bring Donald Trump to heel to some degree. I don't think that's the case in this particular military conflict. Remember, when you talked about Clinton before and what he did in Serbia, yeah, we had a pretty surgical, strategic military operation going on here in Iran. But we didn't we didn't attack dual-use targets like Clinton did when he took out electrical grids and bridges.
Yeah, but you know the difference,
Hogan.
The difference is this is the first time the United States has been engaged in a war in modern times where the majority of Americans have been opposed to it. I mean, that's the first time. So that was.
Hey, chat, I need everyone to double tap that screen for me. We're still about 25 likes away from the next like goal. Please support the channel by hitting the like button.
The case from the start of the war, and it's got progressively less popular. And I would say the real threat to Donald Trump politically is not that the media turn on, because he's in a constant state of war with the media, as we saw at the weekend with his Meet the Press blow up. I'd sort of ignore that as noise, really, on both sides. The problem is that the longer this goes on, the closer to the midterms, there is an increasing risk that he loses the House and the Senate and then becomes, as you would know, a lame duck president, which he would hate.
Well, of course he would. But understand something, Pierce. You remember what was happening politically in this country 5 months ago? Do you remember that? I don't. And I'm in politics, living in Washington, D.C. The election's 5 months away. So if this wraps quickly, there is a good chance no one even remembers this, and the costs come down as well, and he can point to that as being a victory. That's why I'm saying what matters here is how you get out of this, not necessarily what goes on in the process.
No, I don't disagree with that.
But you were saying you think they have to go bomb again. You were just, how is that compatible, a quick end to this war, with you're saying they have to go bomb again?
Not in perpetuity, Glenn. I'm saying if he has some targets he can strike to bring them back to the table. Iran is not a negotiating power, as you well know. They can't trust what they do or what they say. What they do understand in the Middle East is power and might. And if Donald Trump flexes more muscle with some more strategic strikes, chances are you could cripple them to the point where they've got nothing else to do but come to the table and say, all right, let's figure out how we can make a deal. Remember the timeline. End of last week, Donald Trump said we're getting closer to a deal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, expect something. Then the bombings happened when they attacked Israel over the weekend. Donald Trump didn't want to upset that apple cart. I think they were really close. I believe those reports. And then Israel comes back and says, no, we're going to defend ourselves. Now we're kind of back to where we were before. But
that's because, Hogan, come on, that's because you know as well as we all do that Israel's got no desire to bring this to an end anytime soon. Let me bring back, if I may, Rania and Colonel Kemp, but Rania first. Donald Trump has said, I can control the Israelis. If I say don't do something, they won't do it. How much confidence do you have that that is the case?
So far, he's demonstrated he does not have the political will to restrain the Israelis. And Lebanon is key to this. I know it seems like this thing that doesn't really matter. It's a tiny country. Who cares? I care about it because I live in it. I'm Lebanese. But also within the broader context of this war, Iran has repeatedly said for the last 2 months, in order for us to reach a negotiated settlement with the Americans, Israel needs to cease fire on Lebanon and withdraw. Israel has invaded Lebanon. They have displaced 14% of the country. They have continued to bomb Lebanon every single day throughout this so-called one-sided ceasefire. That's not really nobody in Lebanon believes this is a ceasefire. That's a joke of a word now. Just over the weekend, it's not just Hezbollah, by the way. I keep hearing people say this is a war on Hezbollah. If it's a war on Hezbollah, why have they displaced 14% of the population with Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz saying Lebanese Shias can never return?
It's the same
Why are
justification.
they,
It's the same justification they use for going after Hamas in Gaza.
Yes, it is. But
Yeah.
I just want to point out that they're also talking. I heard the woman you had on earlier, the Israeli deputy foreign minister, I think it was, talking about this as a war on Hezbollah, and we love the Lebanese government. Well, then why did they kill Lebanese army soldiers over the weekend? They killed 3 Lebanese army soldiers over the weekend. That makes 26 since March 2nd, 74 since October of 2023. This is the force that they want to have a monopoly of arms in Lebanon and to disarm Hezbollah, but they keep killing them too. This is a war on the entire country of Lebanon. And Iran stepped up and defended Lebanon yesterday. As far as Lebanese people saw it, that's the optics.
Okay,
So
I've got to bring in Colonel Kemp just to quickly round things off. Colonel Kemp, put your prediction hat on for a moment. Where are we going to be in September, October, which is the critical time, I would think, for President Trump?
Yeah, I think, first of all, before I answer that directly, I disagree that Israel wants this war to go on. I mean, I was in Israel about a week ago, and I met with many Israelis and many politicians and military leaders in Israel. And the last thing they want is for this war to go on endlessly. And nor does Netanyahu. Don't forget that Netanyahu himself must hold an election before October. And he doesn't need a war to be raging while the election goes on. So I think to characterize Israelis as warmongers who just want to keep this thing going, I think is wrong.
Well, except that he is more popular. He's more popular as a warmonger in his own country than he is as a leader when he's not waging war. That's the problem with that.
But the Israelis have also said so, by the way. The Israeli leadership
let me let Colonel Kemp
Netanyahu
finish.
have repeatedly said that
I
they
want
want
to let Colonel Kemp finish the point. Just what is your prediction?
My prediction is that there will be a settlement of some sort involving the Strait of Hormuz, which will come about either by one of two means, either by continued very strong US economic pressure and hopefully world economic pressure against Iran. Iran is already in tatters economically, as well as militarily and politically. So that might force them to come to an agreement on the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay.
I don't think that the nuclear issue is likely to be resolved in that time frame.
No, nor do I. It'll be fascinating to see what happens. Thank you to my panel. I really appreciate it. Returning now to Uncensored is Mohammed Morandi, professor at Tehran University, who only has a few minutes, but wanted to have his say on today's developments. Welcome back to you, Professor. You posted today in reply to Donald Trump saying that both sides are locking in an immediate ceasefire and peace is nearly upon us. There will be no agreement until Trump accepts and implements Iran's conditions. There will be no compromise. The Islamic Republic can wait until the Trump economy crumbles. So very uncompromising response there from you. Does there not need to be a deal that suits all parties?
Sure, but we almost had a deal. I think everyone knows the details of the deal. And the Trump negotiators and their messages that they send back and forth with the Iranian negotiators, they've basically accepted the framework. There's some small details that they have differences over, but then every few days, Trump goes out and says, I won't do this and I won't do that. I won't hand over Iranians assets. These are all among the things that they negotiated. And if he thinks that now he can suddenly strong arm the Iranians and the Iranians are going to appease him or they're going to submit to his excessive demands, well, he's not going to get anywhere. And the global economy is going to move closer and closer to crisis.
You said that Iran has the upper hand. What do you base that on?
Well, I think we've seen yesterday and today in the last couple of weeks, the last two times that the Americans carried out an assault on Iran over the last couple of weeks. And this is one of the extraordinary things that prevents any sort of ceasefire and agreement, because the United States keeps attacking Iran. But the last two times, the Iranian response was been very heavy-handed over the past 10 days or so. And then yesterday we saw what Iran, and this morning we saw what Iran did to the Israeli regime. They said themselves that they want to flatten Beirut. And of course, in the West, no one cares about the people of Beirut. So the Iranians had to step in. They thought Iran was bluffing, and Iran wasn't. And not only did Iran hit back, it hit back very hard. So obviously it has the upper hand. But Also, when it comes to morality, Pierce, they're carrying out genocide in Gaza. Just today, they've been killing more kids. In the West Bank, they murdered a 7-month-old child. And in Beirut, they're killing kids every day. So the Iranians want this to stop. And the Americans are insisting that, no, let's exclude Lebanon and Gaza from the ceasefire. And Iran says, no, Gaza and Lebanon are both a part of the ceasefire.
And if Donald Trump, as he's been repeatedly saying, has now put the nuclear aspirations and capability that Iran may or may not have as the sort of axis of victory here in terms of sorting this out, is there any scenario that you can see where Iran would voluntarily hand over its enriched uranium?
Iran is not going to hand over anything to the Americans. But the Iranians have already had a deal in 2015, the JCPOA. And in that deal, Iran gave lots of concessions. But Iran is not going to give up its nuclear program. Iran is not going to give up its sovereignty. Iran was negotiating with the Trump regime before it carried out the first war, the 12-day war with the Israelis, which is we're on the verge, we're close to its anniversary. And then we were negotiating again with the Trump regime when they launched this massive war against Iran, where they lost, where they failed. So for Iran, negotiating the nuclear program or elements of the nuclear program in a way in which it eases any fears that may truly exist is not a problem, as long as Iran's sovereignty and its right to have a peaceful nuclear program and enrichment is preserved. But the United States wants to take away Iran's rights as a sovereign country. And
Yeah, I don't think Iran's gonna make any concessions on the enriched uranium either. Maybe they'll agree to not enrich it to a certain point again, but I don't know. It doesn't. We've been doing this circle jerk for 100 days now. It's been 100 days.
the revolution was about sovereignty, independence, dignity, and it's not going to happen.
The Iranian people are clearly suffering through all this. Iran is clearly suffering economically through all of this, as indeed are many other countries as a result of the war. How long can Iran sustain the economic fallout from this war?
You know, Pierce, this is an existential threat that the United States has imposed upon the Iranian people. For us, this is a war of survival. We have to win this war. And therefore, we will win the siege, no matter how difficult it becomes. We don't have any crazy or excessive demands. They carried out aggression against us, killed thousands of our people, bombed our infrastructure. And our demands, anyone who looks at the Iranian demands, they'll say that they're reasonable. So if the United States wants to continue this siege warfare, I promise you, the global economy will go downhill fast. It will go into recession and then a depression. That's not what Iran wants. But Iran is not going to allow the United States to strangle it.
Professor Morandi, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is proudly...
Damn, that shit loud. All right, chat. I really didn't have much else to cover other than this. Mom Donnie did an interview, an exclusive interview. We watched that Trump interview this morning. And we watched a lot of that Mehdi, Patrick Bet-David debate this morning. I normally don't go live in the mornings, but this morning I had some free time, so I went live for a couple hours.
Jewish New Yorkers who still feel like, we've been able to show exactly what we are governing for, and that is the working person. And when we talk about a focus on the cost of living crisis, we know that for Black New Yorkers, that's not an intellectual concern. The city has lost 200,000 Black New Yorkers over the last few decades alone. From 2010 to 2019, we saw a 19% drop in the population of Black children and teenagers. So in focusing on the affordability crisis, in delivering on that crisis, we are finally bringing the struggles of Black New Yorkers and New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs to the heart of our politics and not just to the footnotes of it.
There's been a long-running criticism, argument made about Bernie Sanders, Democratic Socialists in general, that democratic socialism treats
Whoever
class
MS now
as
got
the
doing the
primary
audio
and
is
race
terrible.
as secondary, even sometimes ignoring it completely. The assumption being that if you fix the economic inequality, racial inequality will just follow and doesn't require its own focus. It seems like you're saying you disagree with that.
I think that we need to have a vision that encompasses all of these things. We have to have an understanding of the impacts of class, and we have to have an understanding of the impacts of race. You know, we cannot divorce the racial inequities we see across the city, which are so stark in just the measurements of median household wealth and income, from the political choices and decisions that have been made over many years. And, you know, I even think about there was a policy that Rudy Giuliani had implemented of a tax lien sale. We found that the city was 6 times more likely to sell tax liens in a black neighborhood than in a white neighborhood. That's, you know, that and the impact that it has on homeowners, one of the reasons why we put a pause to that sale. And I think it just speaks to the many ways in which government has exacerbated racism across not just the city, but frankly across our country through its political choices. And it's time to actually address it through not only acknowledgement, but frankly through affirmative policies.
Yeah. Even with that, with the numbers that we saw from this New York Times Mayor's poll, there's still critics. There's always going to be some who say that you're still not doing enough. There was a lot of criticism about whether or not you had enough black staff, enough black people around you who are political professionals. What do you say to them?
You know, I think it's a city of 8.5 million people. I don't begrudge any New Yorker of their opinion. I'd frankly be concerned if we had 8.5 million people agreeing on one thing besides the Knicks. I think there's a lot of agreement. We're incredibly excited. And I think this is an administration where we're looking to not only reflect the city at large, but also to address the concerns of the city at large. And to have this opportunity right now, it's one where we can show that it's going to be about delivering universal child care for the first time in New York City history for 2-year-olds. It's also going to be about paving over 102,000 potholes in 100 days. That's the way in which we can combine a pothole politics that shows that there's no problem too big, no task too small.
Yeah. I want to move to the racial equity plan.
Please.
From the city. The Times reported that the administration chose not to restore references to diversity, equity, and inclusion that have been cut from the draft that you inherited from Mayor Eric Adams, and that officials expected federal blowback. So I guess, did you or someone on your team keep that DEI language out of there because of a fear with the fight with the Trump administration?
The focus that we had when it came to that report was, one, actually releasing it. The prior administration had stonewalled its release over many years. The second focus was, how can we not only name the racial inequities in this city that are so obvious for anyone who is looking, but also start to put together a framework that would address those inequities. And the third focus was, how can we ensure that all of this will stand up to whatever pressure it faces? Because as we all know, whenever you name racism for what it is, there is an immense pressure to try and back away from that. We wanted to put together the strongest legal argument to ensure that we could actually move forward on it, and that's what we found in this report.
So a legal argument that doesn't include the words DEI. Do the words matter in there?
I think all of the argument that we laid out is one that we believe can withstand whatever pressure comes from the federal administration. And for us, what we found is that New Yorkers care more about what we can deliver than the process by which we get to it. And that's exactly what we're looking to do, is finally deliver a vision for racial equity that is able to get into a material consequence for New Yorkers.
On April 6th, the Assistant Attorney General.
There we go. All right, Chad. That's enough of that. That's enough of that chat, man. Double tap the screen, shut a live out, man. We finna get up out of here, chat. I'm about to fall asleep. I woke up pretty early. We streamed for like 3 hours earlier this morning. Mom Donnie's talking that Mom Donnie shit. I'm a little tired. Yeah, we finna get the hell up out of here, bro. So I need everyone to double tap the screen. We did hit 48,600 subscribers. We are on the way to 50K. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Turn on all notifications so you never miss a live stream. We do have the best mods on YouTube, and I'll see y'all tomorrow, chat. 10 p.m. Central.